Origin. So once again, the Protoss players have been consistently trying to avoid the 4-player maps as much as possible. Apocalypse was picked by Zhanhun.
Yeah.
So let's get into game 1 as our players are ready. Okay, in the mid-right, our Protoss, we do have Zhanhun. And in the bottom left, well, maybe we already missed it. We do have Mihu, so we've got horizontal spawns here. By the way, guys, the observer here is not Zero this time, it's the Chinese observer, so hopefully there's no lag issues, but also keep in mind, when I do say something like, let's look at bottom left or bottom right, he obviously can't hear me, so we're just going to hope that he's thinking along the same lines as the caster and maybe looking at things that we're looking for.
Do we? Is it who is it that is observing precisely? Do you know who it is?
I have no idea. It's who? ArtOfToSs. I'm not sure exactly who that is.
Okay. Well, hopefully he's an experienced cast observer and can at least get the money shots that we need to give you an amazing cast here. Because it will, due to him being a Chinese observer, it will allow these players to play on very low latency to give us the best possible game.
Yeah, that's nice. And okay, it looks like he's pointing out that this is a 12 Nexus. You know, I had been asking for this all of yesterday. I was like, please, DeWalt, one 12 Nexus, but we never got one.
Not a single Nexus first out of all of that. We had a rangeless expand, I think, once, and that was it.
Yeah, and once again, it's Mihu doing a 12 gas, and I had mentioned this before, even though 11 gas is pretty meta these days, Mihu really does like eco 12 gas. I mean, it's fine, but the thing is with 12 gas is if you don't pull, like if you don't do an SCV pull, there's no way to punish 12 Nexus. Like you can't just go build one Vulture and get probe kills. The goons will be out in time. So this is either he's pulling here, or he's going to let it get up and running, which is insane. And the fact that he scouts it first makes me think this is probably going to be a pull.
Well, if you're going for like sharp style, like 11 gas, obviously you can get a little bit of punish with the Vulture, but anything standard with 12 gas is just nothing. You can't really do anything.
Yeah, you really just can't do anything to it. Now, Mihu, he is someone that doesn't care about building additional Marines, and that's why you see Zhanhun go double gate here. He's going to do the, I'm going to call it the Quark build, because actually the first player Quark, he I'm not going to say he innovated it, but at least he was the first person I saw do this, where he cuts massively off of a 12 Nexus.
You're saying he popularized it?
He may have. Maybe he played it on the ladder, and some of the pros were like, damn, you know what? This is pretty good.
Well, yeah, it's a very safe version of the build. Basically, you can go 2 Zealot, 2 Goon. That even gives you some counter-attack options after you hold the initial push as well. You can put a lot of pressure onto the Terran of those first 4 Gateway units. And you don't have to make 2 Zealots if you don't want to. That's just the ultra-safe variant. The only issue is that you will be cutting probes. So if the Terran keeps non-stop SEV production and takes a reasonably fast CC, they're actually not too far behind if you play super safe as pros.
Well, actually, this is one of my favorite moves, which is the 1 SCV, 1 Marine harass. Now, you don't want to lose the Marine, but he got to kill 2. This is massive. He's playing a low eco 12 Nexus, plus he lost 2 probes already. This is already crazy damage.
Yeah, he did catch that Marine on the exit with the probe particle beam, but yeah, losing 2 probes this early, and he's cutting probes because he's doing the safe variant of the build as well, so he's already really in a big economic deficit.
Yeah, and in fact, he doesn't have to pull anymore, which is crazy. A lot of times, players don't want to play a 12 gas into a 12 Nexus like that unless they can punish it. So the 2 Marines have done good, or the 1 Marine actually getting the 2 probes has done good damage. The Vulture is already across the map, and because he lost that mining time, actually he may be able to sneak in this Vulture because there is a gap on the left.
Yeah, I mean, the Goon actually just now coming out, so he will be able to plug this up. But yeah, I would still say like that's a little bit of an early victory for Mihu, getting that economic damage done, and it's kind of negated some of this advantage for going for 12 Nexus at all.
Yeah, and you can see that Goon timing, which is why I said 11 gas is, you know, a key thing, because if that Vulture was 5 seconds faster, it's in there and it's killing probes. So it comes back after it saw the Dragoon leave, and actually, Zhanhun doesn't have anything. However, Mihu also really doesn't have very much. He's microing his Marines to try and deal with this Dragoon, and he will push it back. And with the reinforcing Goon, this will also be pushed back. And we've got straight Starport. Actually, this is a really good counter to what Zhanhun is doing, because one, he got the 2 probes, and you know that this guy went 2 gates, so he's intending to build a lot of units before prioritizing his tech.
Yeah, that's a very astute observation, Nyoken. And I'm really impressed by like the early metagame shenanigans from these 2 players. Maybe they got quite a good read on each other's style, because they seem to be trying to cut corners against each other, but everything's lining up just barely to, like, you know, not lose too many Marines. That is natural and what have you. So they seem to be very well aware of each other's respective timings.
Well, Mihu did show his 3 vultures, and I would say 3 vultures versus a 12 Nexus like this is pretty standard. However, Zhanhun may be thinking, you know, maybe this is signaling it's a drop. I personally, as a Terran player, I almost always go 3 vultures, so I don't think it's unusual, but Zhanhun may be thinking otherwise, which is why you see he sends 2 goons into his main already in anticipation of a drop.
I'm a little bit confused why Mihu chose not to repair the 4th vulture. Like, he repaired the other 2, but not the 4th vulture. Like, it's on 35 HP still.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be like a multitask thing. You know, it's a lot of stuff to be multitasking at the same time, prioritizing something else. But here comes that drop, and there's already 3 goons in position. And Mihu probably went speed first, so he's gonna have it should be complete pretty soon.
Honestly, like, I think this is good enough. Yeah, I think this is good enough anti-drop defense though from Zhanhun. I don't think Mihu's going to get a lot done.
I don't think he's going to get a lot done either, but here we go into the main. Well, I mean, I technically can see it. I'm going to switch over. We got probes dying left and right. It was a drop in the main and the natural, and the main got shut down pretty quickly. Natural gets 3 kills. Not sure exactly how many got hit in the main, but overall it was a pretty good drop, I would say. Are we still lagged out?
Yep. Okay.
You can see it, Sean,
yeah,
right?
I can see it now. Just now came back. All right, so we're taking a 3rd Nexus at 7 minutes from Zhanhun now.
Yep, Nexus being coming down. And one thing that is weak about this particular opener, when you build this many vultures, counterattacks are really strong because obviously you've prioritized vultures in the beginning. But it doesn't look like Zhanhun necessarily cares about that. Instead, he's just going to go for taking a 3rd Nexus himself. And Mihu, I mean, he's just doing what he normally does. He's going into his 5-fact.
Well, do you think Zhanhun... He's getting, I would say, like, just barely the right amount of gateways to not straight up die. But do you think Mihu's going to cut and, like, go for an all-in crazy push here, or do you think he's just going to, like, go into a 3rd? I think he's going to go into a 3rd.
I think he's going to take a 3rd base. I don't think Mihu and cut belong in the same sentence. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
he's big time eco. I imagine this is going to be a 3rd base pretty soon. He could do a timing, but I don't think he did enough damage with his drop to go for that. If it was like 10 probes, then maybe I could see him trying to end the game, but it was not that many.
I think you might be right. This would be a very standard, flexible, sort of 5-fact push, but you're just expanding behind it. You're not really committed to the attack by any standard.
I'm trying to get a read on what Zhanhun is doing. He's got 4 gates,
plus 6
gates. Oh,
yeah.
Stargate. So this is going... I didn't see Citadel anywhere. Did you see Citadel?
No, I didn't see any Citadel. This could be carrier then, right?
Yeah, if there's no Citadel, Arbiter doesn't make sense. But at the same time, I don't think carriers are going to be great versus Mihu's style. So I don't know what to think about this. It really does look like it's going to be carriers, though.
Yeah, it does. It looks like 3-base carrier so far. He's catching a tank and denying these vultures much success so far. I mean, so far so good for Zhanhun, but yeah, I'm not too sure about the choice overall. We'll have to see how that pans out.
Well, if he continues to catch units like this, then of course he will buy himself enough time to get carriers out. You know, yesterday I thought Mihu had a killer 7-fact build versus DeWalt, yet DeWalt somehow managed to stall the game out long enough to make it work. Now, this, like we were saying yesterday, this is the problem when you go carriers versus Mihu, is he scanned and he saw Stargate, which means hello, 7 factory time.
No. Yeah, I don't know. Zhanhun's already cleared up some of his army, though, so I actually don't think there's enough critical mass here for Mihu to actually push and kill him, at least for the time being. There'll be a comfort window for Zhanhun to get a little bit more critical mass of Protoss infantry up on this plateau here.
Yeah, Mihu definitely can't attack right now. He's down almost 50 supply here, so that would be a monumental disaster if he tried to make a move. I wonder if Zhanhun built that Stargate to bait Mihu into this, and then he actually just plays a normal, like, Templar style.
I was contemplating that too.
I didn't see the fleet beacon go down. In fact, the building next to it was a forge, which wasn't expecting.
Which is kind of weird when you think about it. I actually kind of like, if that is the intention, just to like obfuscate the build order choice and like, you know, force a trigger out of the Terran, catch some of his army and like make him make a few misplays. I kind of like that idea a lot, but it does look like he is going to be committing into it. He's just delaying that a little bit and making sure he had enough infrastructure, set up enough unit flow out just to make sure he didn't straight up die to the powerful push of Mihu that he knows is coming no matter what.
Well, I don't necessarily mind the carriers, but what I do mind is I still haven't seen a Citadel, and Zealots are beyond useless without speed. Here we go.
Just bugged out though.
Oh yeah, they are bugged out. And that is so many Dragoons, man. That is a ton of Dragoons. It's also high ground advantage. Mihu, he overstepped for sure here.
This is crazy. There's so many Dragoons. The tanks are not getting the connections that they need, so that they're dying too fast to actually really get the critical mass of volleys needed to really start to like lower the count of goons to start to win. Beautiful mine connections though, going to be splattering many of those Dragoons, kind of getting a little bit of compensation, but so many tanks went down in that. He can't push anymore. He's going to get away with going 3-base carry, and there's pretty much nothing Mihu can do about it right now. He scans and sees the bad news.
Mihu is in deep trouble now. He's going to try and expand, but his tank count was completely reset. He definitely went way too quick. I feel like he should have waited maybe like upwards of a minute, because a carrier takes a long time to build. Plus they got to build interceptors. He didn't really let his 6th and 7th factory production actually kick in at all, and then he got massively punished. Now it's gonna be 4-base Protoss with carriers on the way, with 8-gate, with still a ton of units left over, versus a Terran who has no tanks, is trying to expand behind. There's no way you can attack again, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried for Mihu, honestly. Like, you're absolutely right. He had like a whole like 2-3 minute window to like make that push work. There was no pressure on him. He could have waited a whole minute before even commencing the attack. And look, Citadel's only just now starting. He would have had no like speed lots to help him clear up this attack. He could just build a massive Terran army and stomped him.
Yeah, his vultures would have just obliterated the Zealots before they got any connections. But now, I guess he's still, it's still playable in the sense like he has a ton of production. I mean, look how many SCVs he has. When he transfers them over, he's going to have massive income, but he's down 45 supply. It's not going to be 2 carriers anymore. It's going to be 4 or 6 by the time he actually wants to make a move onto this high ground again.
And something to take note of is because of his style of going heavy into factories like this, his upgrades are a little bit behind curve as a result, so you don't have that like armor to kind of like give a bit of meat to your Goliaths to make them soak up enough shots while you're trading with the carriers, so you won't be trading as effectively as he would usually be going a more standard like 2-1 timing.
And 2-1 is a big break point for Terran. Instead of it taking 6 shots to kill an interceptor, it only takes 5, which is massive. Mihu's making another attack, but I don't think this attack wins either. There's so many goons at the top side, and carriers are out.
Oh, this is crazy. Like, I think Mihu's just stomped in this game, isn't he?
Yeah, he's massively dead. There's no way he can win this fight. His Goliaths don't help in the battle at all because they're shooting interceptors, which mean that the goons and zealots just kill everything. It's a 60 supply lead, and Zhanhun, despite taking 2 probe loss in the beginning while going a low eco 12 Nexus, then losing 5 or 6 probes to a drop, just slams this army. And unless there's like a race switch or something that clearly doesn't exist, to kill these carriers, there's no way that Zhanhun can lose this game.
It's kind of crazy. Like, honestly, I thought like Mihu was going to absolutely stomp Zhanhun in this game, and it's the complete inverse has happened. Like this, I'm hoping this is just a blunder from Mihu, and we won't see a repeat of this in the future games. But if there's any kind of like repeat of this in the series, I really feel like Zhanhun might like run away with this eventually.
I really do think it was just a misstep to not wait for the 6th and 7th factory production to kick in. If he had like 5 or 6 more vultures there, even if they don't deal damage, but if they just stand in front of
Just
the
soak
tanks
up
and soak
damage
up
and
hits,
stuff, yeah.
yeah, then instead of losing your entire tank line, he's probably left over with like 8 with rallied vultures across the map. Probably at least kills the third base. But
Right.
now this is an impossible task. At top left, he's hiding a base. That's all he can do is pray that he hides a base. The game stalls and he catches up in econ that way. But even then, like you were saying, it's +1 Terran versus a Protoss is probably that at least even in upgrades.
And plus he got a Forge fairly early on, right? Like, yeah, he's not going to be far behind in grades himself, so I don't know if he's going to even be able to trade cost efficiently enough. He's on 130, 140 supply against a maxed Zhanhun right now. And if he finds this base in the top left, I think that might be just lights out.
Yeah, if he finds the top left, the game's over. There's no recourse. Because Mihu never cuts workers, his main is like already mined out at 1530 in the game. Now this, if Zhanhun gets too confident and feels like his ground army can win ground army versus ground army, maybe this is the mistake Mihu is looking for. But you gotta fight now, because now there's 30 supply not in the army. Oh, he's getting 360 surrounded in the center of the map.
Yeah, I mean, there might be enough critical mass of tanks here just to smash these goons, though. I mean, there's not a lot of Goliaths to soak up shots, but I don't think there's enough critical mass of goons to overwhelm that force. So at the very least, he's holding his own in the center, but not really getting anything done. He needs to push, he needs to go. If he's not going to come back and defend against the carriers, he needs to actually get something done with his army. And now we're seeing a flood of Zealots starting to come out, and there's no vultures with this army right now.
DT wins the game, by the way. If he just focuses the comsat and rallies DTs, he doesn't even need carriers to help out. He'll just win. Either way, this is a very isolated army. Zhanhun, surprisingly, isn't even dealing with it. He's counterattacking, which I guess is fine. But, you know, his ground army right here with just pure zealots, well, that's not actually going to kill Mihu's army.
No, we got an SCV train that's going to be going up to the top left as well, which will actually trigger Zhanhun into figuring out there's a base up there as well.
There's the DTs that I was talking about. 4 DTs. And we should be moments away from seeing the GG. There it is. Yeah. And that means Zhanhun off to a 1-0 lead.
Wow. I'm kind of impressed by Zhanhun, but I really do feel like that was more like Mihu's blunder there. Like, he really did not need to attack that early. He had like a whole window of like 2 minutes to set up and go. He did not need to push that early. It was very, I don't know, a bit of a premature detonation from Mihu, let's say.
Yeah, I'm sure Mihu will watch that replay and probably think exactly that. Like, if I just wait, man, it doesn't matter if he has 2 carriers if they can't hit me, and then I can probably overrun the army, because it was literally pure goon. The zealots that were there, they were meaningless. And even though it is high ground, like, his tank count was really high. It was like 14 or something.
Just
like
1 or 2 more rounds of units and he probably smashes him.
Yeah. And then yeah, you've got 2 carriers. Yeah, that's funny though. But they don't do damage while I kill both of your nexus, and both of the nexuses are really close. So I think Mihu would have killed both bases. But either way, Zhanhun, solid win there, you know, especially after the initial probe losses. And now, at least Mihu's going to have his map coming up, which is going to be Vermeer. But my opinion of this map is, yes, Terran can get 4 bases and 4 gas, but there's just so many bases on this map. It is very easy for Protoss to get at least their half, sometimes 3/4 of the map.
Yeah, I mean, Vermeer's kind of a deceptive map. It looks fairly balanced, but it can be a bit tricky depending on the spawns and what happens in the game state, but it can be a bit frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, also something I did notice was, if you notice at the end, Zhanhun didn't really even engage the army as it hit the third base. He just countered, and some of the things that makes TVP hard is when you play players that just avoid your army the entire time and counterattack you, because then you're in this predicament. It's like, well, do I turn around or do I counter? Because if I don't counter, this guy's got like 8 bases. But if I don't do that, then like if I don't kill his base, I'm just facing like a massive econ discrepancy. But if I don't do that, I'm wording this wrong.
Honestly, though, I think that's the modern meta of TVP, though. I think like playing fluid like that and just avoiding the main Terran army and just playing like a very skirmish style, and even just pulling the Terran army around on the map by your own positioning and like forcing the Terran to have to constantly scan for your army and what have you. I think that's like a really stellar way of playing Protoss, and I think it's actually like what more people should be doing.
I think they should also, but we're ready with game 2, so let's get into it. We're going to Vermeer. Oh, we're going back to zero screen now. Okay, so in the bottom right, we do have Mihu, and in the bottom left, we do have Zhanhun. And I want the back-to-back 12 Nexus, man. I don't think people back-to-back 12 Nexus enough. And it would be a good follow-up, especially versus, like I've always said, this guy always 12 facts, or 12 gas, or it's gasless. He never 11 gas, he never 10-10-10s. You might as well do it because he can't punish you.
Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something there. Maybe that's something people should start doing against Mihu more. Do you remember, like, back in the day when Flash would just, like, always go 14 CC because no one was, like, punishing him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really greedy player, but he makes it work. Some of the things that he does, I'm like, dude, like, you're literally the only person that can do it. Looks like we've lagged out again, so I guess we're gonna probably switch over. It's not a 12 Nexus.
No, it's not. What looks of it.
Yep, and
we're
okay.
back.
Oh, we're back already? All right, so I guess I'm switching back to that. Well, me.
Oh,
okay, we're back with my. Okay, so we did have. It looks like this could be. I was gonna say it looks like it could be gasless, but not the case. It's gonna be 12 gas for Mihu once again. This time around, Zhanhun has actually skipped gas himself. This looks like it's gonna be at least 2 or 3 zealots. I wonder if he'll go Nexus or
he's going Nexus. Yeah, he will. He will. He got Nexus before gas, I think. Oh no, he's not. Okay, I really thought he was going to go Nexus before gas here.
Yeah, there's a couple variations. There's the straight Nexus. There's the gas, like you see here. Sometimes players build 2 zealots and then they get a goon and they do like a run by on the bunker because Terran at that point still only has like 4 Marines, maybe 1 Vulture, and if they catch them in the middle of building an add-on, you know, you can rack up a lot of damage.
Well, this looks like rangeless, right? Rangeless expand, maybe?
Yeah, this does seem like it's going to be rangeless expand, especially since it's cross-spawn. And that probe did disrupt the factory for a few seconds, but there's the first zealot out on the map right now. Did you see it?
How do you feel about... I feel... Yeah, he saw it. He saw it, right? Yeah, he definitely saw it. How do you feel about the... I feel like the end scout is almost like necessary at this point.
I think if you 12 gas like this, you do need to end scout because if they get away with 12 Nexus, you're in trouble. But if you're somebody that plays 11 gas more often, I actually prefer just you going cross scout because then you know that they're close positions.
Yeah.
And you can just rally 1 Vulture and do a lot of damage sometimes. Now this zealot got off a couple of shots, but backs off.
Yeah, a couple of jabs slipped in there, but the Marines are not quite knocked out yet. Still be happily in the fight for some time. Probably are being thrown down a bunker soon, but I don't think... Well, can he get... Actually, he can get away with throwing the CC before bunker, right?
Oh yeah, especially after he saw that this was Nexus. If it was not Nexus and this was a hidden zealot and a goon, then there's no way he builds this before a bunker. But I really do like that Zhanhun saved this zealot, because if he had lost it, I think actually Mihu could have gone for a counter, like just a rallied counter with the Vultures and Marines, but not the case, and he is just going to back off.
He's going straight into Robo. Probably will see a 5 factory out of Mihu yet again. If he relies
it's a starport.
Is it starport? Ooh, mixing it up. Okay, I like it.
And he's really doing a lot of starport play. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's really good. It's definitely underappreciated. A lot of players in the foreign scene don't use it because if it gets shut down, you feel like, well, what do I do now? Like, I don't have any production. Right. I'm just giving up map control. But because Mihu always has a solid 4-fact, 5-fact timing, he's one of the few players where even if it does no damage, he's still in a playable position.
Well, any 1-1-1 build is a little bit flimsy and does require a bit of finesse with your execution, so it can be a little bit daunting to have to like play so consistently and going for that style for a lot of people.
Well, this is something. I was gonna say this is like a delayed starport, but that's not actually the case. This is on time. It was like a 4:20 starport, so this is gonna be a normal timing. And if I'm Zhanhun here, especially after seeing the games yesterday with multiple starport play, I think he's just most likely gonna do what he did last game, which is sit in his base, wait for his observer to confirm what the build is, then go Nexus as a follow-up, and probably, if I was him, I'd probably just do the same thing, which is maybe go carriers, I guess. Yeah, I'll evaluate, but I think that could be a solid follow-up once again.
No, I think cross-map Vermeer is like really good for carriers as well, so yeah, I can't fault that choice.
Uh-oh, see you later. This is why you gotta get off the map. Oh, he didn't trigger the second.
Yeah, he got away with it.
Well, he got away for about a second, and now
he's in trouble. Yep. The only compensation there was now he knows there's 2 mines also there, but that's about it. A very, very lackluster compensation for that Dragoon.
And he did also confirm that Mihu has a lot of vultures, and in this particular scenario, it's a little more uncommon to build 3 or 4 vultures because...
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a 12 Nexus anymore, where you know the guy doesn't have that many units that quickly. He definitely could have pressured with his goons, you know, so Terran generally responds with a tank. So this time around, drops are a little more common after spotting this, but actually has nothing in his main to defend. This could be a big misread.
Well, yeah, I mean, he might even be anticipating that Mihu's trying to sell him a false ticket here, and like actually it's not a drop, and he's trying to just like represent the drop, right? Oh, and he might scout it anyway. Oh, he scouts it. He scouts it. He sees it.
Wow, he saw it, and that means he's going to get into position. That was a massive, massive win for Zhanhun, and he's going to intercept. Well, actually, that mine got a big connection, and that triggers Mihu to turn around.
Yeah, that was actually a really big mine connection there. Vulture trying to slip by and does actually get so, but not going to be able to get into the main base at least. Does get taken down. Kind of wild though that that slipped through there. That's a skinny Vulture. Must be a vegan or something.
Yeah, must be. By the way, that pylon at the top right of his base, that does look like a Stargate type of pylon, but we'll see if he actually will commit to that. It could also just be for vision, but you can see goons are in position now, and now this drop play really isn't going to do much damage. So Mihu, he's going to have to come up with something here. Is he going to try and maybe come back with a fast expansion, or is he just going to continue to do what he usually does, which is 4 or 5? Oh, no.
Okay, he doesn't lose it, though. Okay, now he might, though. Just barely dancing with death, manages to get out of there. For a second, I thought he was going to not pay attention on the exit and lose it at the 3rd.
Well, there's the 3rd and 4th factory. And there goes SCV for the 5th factory. So, I mean, it's just always the same thing with Mihu. High production. Okay, I see the armory at the very corner of the screen, so he does have his upgrades going. Still no command center for him just yet. Zhanhun has transferred his workers over to his 3rd base, so he has that up and running. And we saw some big buildings going up in that corner. And he heard me.
He heard you. It's gonna be Arbiter by the looks of it. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, how many got? We got 3 goons, 1 zealot plus that 4 in the 3rd and a 4, and that's not fun. I don't know. I still feel like Zhanhun can squash this.
Well, I think this move is just to get the dropship in. Yeah. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to unload because he's going to draw the units out of position. And Zhanhun, you've been gotten, bro. That means vultures are in the main, and they're going to rack up a lot of damage. Also, he confirms the tech now. He saw it Citadel and Stargate.
He knows that's Arbiters now, and he's getting quite a few probe kills, and they're still not over. Still getting a few more probe kills. A lot of lost mining time from them being drilled around like this as well. So really cost-effective drop here. Even the ops going down because he's distracted.
That's exactly what Mihu needed to get back into the game. You know, when he was making that move across the map, I'm like, there's no way in hell you're attacking with a 1-fact rally off of a drop. Like, you only have 4 tanks, but it was a good bait, and it definitely surprised Zhanhun. Now, actually, with his production kicking in, you know, he can actually make an attack now. Oh, he missed the goons, or the goons missed the vultures, I mean.
Yeah, I was really surprised that Zhanhun brought all of his forces to bear for that attack, because he had enough units that he could have easily left like 3 goons back in his main if he wanted to.
Yeah, I think he actually just forgot that drops were on the map. If he had like an observer following the dropship and was more aware, I think he definitely would have left something in the main. But now this is a killer position for Mihu.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing a shuttle either, so it's just going to be like pure goon attacking into a big tank line, plus vultures, plus mines, plus marines even.
Yeah, this little lake here separating the third base is hard to tag into, but there is a strong presence of Protoss coming from the south and the north. Maybe he can get on top of the Marines in position to soak up a lot of those phase disruption shots, but doesn't matter. Zhanhun is still getting on top of these tanks quickly enough that they're not getting off the shots needed to whittle down this Protoss force, and actually Zhanhun racing ahead in supply.
They massacred that once again. Maybe Mihu just attacked a little bit too quickly before letting his production kick in, but also Zhanhun caught him out of siege mode on half of those tanks. That was a really nice move. An immediate nexus. He's like, I won that fight. That means more econ for me. And he's got his arbiter coming. So once again, Mihu on the back foot. He's going to try and expand in response.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be too late. Zhanhun's already taken his fourth, and he's sitting pretty right now. He's got enough infantry forces already out on the map to keep it swept, so there's no like minefields that are going to go up as well that will like secure any kind of position for Mihu to feel safe. He's going to feel very threatened right now. He's just like, you know, in his tight little corner of the map right now. It's the problem with a lot of Terran players. You get stuck in one little tiny quadrant of the map and you just can't really do anything.
I want to see Zhanhun just stop building units right now, make sure he's got his probe count fully saturated on all the bases, and just build a freaking ton of gateways. Because there's no way that Terran can do anything to punish you. You slam the first attack, you slam the drop. All you need to do is just get your stuff up and running, get your stasis, and you're just going to crush this guy. So that's what I'm hoping to see. It looks like Zhanhun had already done that because he's at 9 or 10 gate. Arbiter should be out momentarily, and we are seconds away from having a maxed out Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like Mihu's going to keep up with his production. He's not even transferred an SCV to align to his third yet. And he might even just get busted, to be honest with you. Like, Zhanhun might just bowl him over right here, right now.
He probably can. Like, he knows that he slammed the Terran tank count. And here we go. Zealots are leading the charge. Those mines didn't really connect, but the Vultures are trying to save the day. They eliminate a lot of the Zealots. The tank line is pretty good. What was it, like 8 tanks? Yeah. And actually, Mihu is going to hold it just barely.
Yeah, this like sort of upside down, back to front L-shaped tank line has actually kind of done the trick. It was deep enough that enough shots got off on those goons, softened up the incoming army. And he's going to go for a 4th command center on location as natural, just to kind of like, you know, even grow more and more here. Because as a Terran player, I feel like that's the thing you need to make sure you're accomplishing is, by all metrics, keep growing. And as long as you don't stagnate and you keep growing as Terran, I feel like the game is like not only playable, but you're probably in an advantage position.
There's the first Arbiter. So Mihu is on a clock. You definitely don't want to be facing like 4 Arbiters. Mihu had his tank count reset once again. He had his supply reset once again. He also has not taken his third gas, as you can see there. He does have his science facility done though, so he's going to have his double upgrades coming in. But I'm worried about his gas income, because even though he's floating 500 gas right now, once he gets those upgrades spinning, that's going to be like 300 gas. Once he builds the vessel, that's going to be another 200 gas. And he's got triple add-on. So I don't know how many tanks he's going to be able to afford to build out of those unless he can get that third gas. And as I mentioned that, there goes the third gas.
Yeah, honestly though, like these upgrades are super late for Mihu. It's like 14 minutes. I don't think he started his 2-1, right?
No, if he started it, he just started it. So it is way behind. He's going to have like a 17 or 18 minute 2-1, but we may not even get to that point in the game, because once again Protoss is on the move, and this time he has an Arbiter.
Well, I guess that's the thought process behind this style of Terran, is like you want to do well in this current phase of the game, and it doesn't matter if you get the upgrades a few minutes later. You're just going to die in that phase anyway. Game
for a recall. Mihu has his 5 turrets in prime position, just like he did yesterday versus Dawid. Looks like Zero screen is back up. Okay, so I'll cut back over there.
Arbiter's waiting for a recall as well at this 6 o'clock location, just now getting the energy ready for that.
Yep, and here he goes. He's trying to bait Mihu out. Oh, Mihu, he's going past the eBay. There's a lot of turrets here, man. I think we're going to have a Dawid moment right here where the recall does not get off.
No, not quite.
Oh, got off.
Yeah, you need like about at least another 2 or so turrets there for it to be completely shut down. But there's enough tanks here actually that the recall just goes splat anyway, more or less.
Yeah, that was a failed recall right there, and that's going to trigger an immediate counterattack, I think, from Mihu. He knows he lost the minimum there. He didn't even really lose that many turrets or tanks, so he can rebuild the tanks and turrets very. Carrier follow-up.
Yeah, I did say like cross map Vermeer, like carriers I feel is like the go-to here. Like I don't mind him first going arbiters as well. That will also maybe obfuscate this. And Mihu's like so busy focusing on setting everything up, dotting his I's, crossing his T's, that he just doesn't even like check that position again to check for it. So it's possible that this like completely blindsides Mihu, or at least will go unscouted for a minute or two.
Yeah, yesterday DeWalt did a carrier switch and Mihu had no idea. As soon as he saw the carriers, he immediately GG'd, and that could be the same case here. One thing I do want to point out is Mihu only has 1 on gas at his third base, so that is going to be devastating the longer the game goes. He desperately needs to fix that, but he does have a maxed out army versus a maxed out army. Does he still? Hopefully wow. It looks like he forgot his upgrades because they can't. Yeah, he can't complete them that quickly. So only +1 is really, really bad.
I feel like Mihu has to like start to win the game now, because the longer this goes on without those upgrades, his win percent is just going to go lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, all Zhanhun needs to do is, just like DeWalt did yesterday, is stall the game out. Don't attack here, man. You're waiting for carriers anyways. Of course, he doesn't know that Terran doesn't have 2-1 coming, but he at least knows Terran is only on +1 weapon right now, and the armories are still not spinning, so he still has no idea. In fact, he prioritized EMP over those upgrades.
But it's definitely a mistake. It's not like he's like It's not like he like decided to not go upgrades or something. He's definitely just forgotten that he never started that 2-1 timing.
Well, he has a lot of production because that's either the 8th fact or the 9th fact, and this is what I was talking about. Zhanhun, last game, he just avoided the army. This is what he needs to do. Avoid the army. Sack top right. It doesn't matter because you got bottom left coming up. Kill this guy's third base, and Mihu knows that, so he's immediately turning around, and this could be a big mistake from Zhanhun. Wow, he committed really hard. Look at that tank count. It is massive.
Yeah, Mihu had like quite a large siege line already set up, and he immediately started turning the army around right as he saw this come in from Zhanhun as well. So has been able to squash the majority of his forces already. He might get the CC though at the very least, so has a little bit of a victory here for Zhanhun, but losing this much of your army, Mihu could just do a big counter-offensive after clearing this up.
Yeah, Mihu should be able to at least knock down top middle, maybe. Top right may be hard because there's a ramp, but he should be able to get at least 1 base. However, the carriers are out, but Protoss literally lost their entire ground army, including the Arbiter, and that's why you see Mihu immediately on the offensive. How many bases can he get is the question. And Zhanhun, if we look at his money, he doesn't have a big bank, so that was a huge loss.
Yeah, despite how many bases it looks like Zhanhun has, he actually doesn't have a lot of probes relative to how many bases he's got. So actually not a lot of income right now. And High Templar's being sniped by Mihu as well before he can actually get his army like gathered, and now being pushed back all the way inside of his rally point. Mihu going to be setting up a very strong position here. There is 6 carriers, not quite at the full interceptor threshold though, so not able to really bully this army back as quickly as he'd like to.
Yeah. Looks like Mihu. Actually, I don't think Mihu's going to be able to bust this position. I mean, he doesn't have enough Goliaths here to win. There's 6 carriers. Now the tanks are splitting off. But how?
He needs to just like try and knock out these like 2 bases, or at least get some probes or something. But yeah, there's not enough Goliaths here. I'm surprised he's got so few Goliaths.
Yeah, so I actually don't think he's going to really do that much damage. Like he's gonna kill a couple.
He was still making vultures and tanks. I didn't think he like had any idea about these carriers until he just saw them. Like this is kind of wild. Do you think he can knock out the top right while this is going on? If he can knock out top right, maybe.
I don't think he can knock out top right. Top right is a high ground base, man. It's hard to get up ramps like this. He may be able to knock down. He's not even going to knock down this Nexus. In fact, he's going to lose a lot of. I mean, he killed that. That's a big win there. He killed that Nexus and he killed the Nat Nexus. But he's splitting off a lot of units that I don't think there's critical mass here to kill anything.
And this is why you build gateways at these corner bases like this. You can just make a few High Templars and storm the heck out of the Terran player from the high ground and make it almost impossible to attack uphill. It just requires so much APM and attention span to finally push up into those bases and wipe them out. So it looks like Zhanhun has like weathered the storm and is actually kind of stabilized now, and will start to go back onto putting the pressure onto Mihu, who didn't get those critical upgrades earlier, so now will really start to suffer the consequences.
And Zhanhun, I think he had more carriers blinking on his Stargates, but these carriers are going to kill these 3 tanks. That Vulture is probably going to get taken down, and we do have Mihu on the move, but there's a big ground army for Zhanhun now. This DT should be able to clean up this Vulture, yeah, and actually, okay, I guess it's a bigger army for Mihu than I thought, as Protoss turns around, at least for now. And 2-1 is just kicked in.
Finally we got that 2-1. So now we're not, it's not as bad as we were a moment ago. So Mihu finally can start trading somewhat cost efficiently once more with his army. So maybe this isn't as daunting of a situation to be in. And if we can knock out this bottom left soon as well, this might be looking quite all right for Mihu.
This is an awkward situation because now this is such a big army. I'm not sure if the carriers beat this army.
I'm not so sure either. Well, I don't know what the upgrades on the carriers are.
I'm going to guess he should have at least plus... Okay, that is a lot of carriers. Okay, I take that back. That is a ton of carriers. And there's a DT just doing work.
Yeah, going to work here. We have a little counterattack here at the 3 o'clock from Zhanhun, but Beautiful Mind is going to be eating up some of those Dragoons as well, and there's enough Terran forces there to start to push those army back, while these carriers are mopping up the tanks in the bottom left. So he will be saving this base in the bottom left, and I don't know, I feel like Zhanhun might just start running away with the game. With the carrier fleet this large and Mihu slow on the upgrade curve, yeah, I think unless somehow Mihu can outmaneuver him, which is very hard to do against carriers, I don't know if Mihu's going to have like a huge edge here.
Well, Mihu does have his 2 bases still running, and Zhanhun just lost another base at bottom left. That's a massive EMP. Those goons are going to pop really quickly. And Zhanhun's doing what I think he should do, which is just use the carriers to go and kill all these bases. He's going to kill this command center, and if he kills bottom right, he'll put Mihu down on 1 base. Now, it's not like Zhanhun has a big amount of bases either, but it's going to be still at least 2-1. That was a great EMP, eliminates all the Templar energy. But how do you deal with these carriers on the bottom side?
I don't know if you can deal with them. I think Mihu might even go for a little bit of a base tradey mentality right now, because he wants to just like try and knock out 12 and then like rotate round to maybe 9 o'clock. I don't know. Is he going for 9 o'clock or is he going for the natural? Okay, he's going for the natural.
He's going for the natural. It takes too long to kill top right because of the Templars and the cannons and stuff. But
is this smart from Mihu though? I don't know if this is smart.
I think this is good because he's going to eliminate the top middle base. This was the most vulnerable base. You had to take this one down. And then he's going to eliminate mid left. And now Zhanhun's going to be 2 base with top right and bottom left. And by the way, bottom left is not mining because he never sent his probes back to mine. Right. So it's basically 1 base versus 1 base. But yeah, this game is pretty wild. Now you can see the carriers are moving. Actually, if the carriers go to mid right and kill it, there will be no mining for Mihu.
Oh no, there's nothing to do anything about that as well. That's a dead CC right there. This is a very weird game. Mihu's got a little bit of a bank, but with the carriers already in this number, like there's 8 carriers right now with like full interceptors. Like this is a really tough army to trade off the board for Mihu. And with losing this mining base, okay, he's got a few Goliaths here. He's got some EMPs available to him. He gets an EMP on all of those. Does take out the science vessel does go down there, and the other one's not got quite enough energy for EMP. So he wants to get there. If he snipes the vessel before the EMP goes off, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, but look at this choke. Like the Goliaths, he has a decent amount of Goliaths, but there can only fit so many through that tiny choke. He's going to find a command center, forces an immediate cancel. Zhanhun is struggling with the money because he's lost so many bases, but he still has bottom left and top right. But again, bottom left is not mining. Okay, he finally realizes bottom left is not mining and starts transferring those pros, but he's going to kill so many tanks and Goliaths and vessels here.
Yeah, did find the EMP connection on those carriers, but at what cost? He's losing a lot of his Goliaths at this present moment. There's some rallied units coming up from the ridge line on the 3 o'clock side, but has lost so many units already. Currently 110 supplied, 140, and like you say, Zhanhun does have 2 bases right now.
There's no answer to the carriers. The Goliaths were never critical mass, or if they were split up. These tanks are all going to die to the goons, the DT, and the zealots, and Goliaths by themselves will not win. So this could be a 2-0 in just a second. Carriers coming in once again to snipe this command center.
Yeah, I mean, one of the carriers is dangerously low, and a few of them are softened up, but I don't think he's going to be able to get the save on this command center. So yeah, it goes down, and that's all the mining that Mihu's got available to him. Now it's just pure long-distance mining. We have a CC being flowed from the main to the natural third, so he'll be re-establishing some income soon, but that's put a big dent in his production, and he needs every drip of minerals coming in right now to even have a chance at keeping the carriers at bay.
Look at this Storm on the left side. It's just Storm for days. There's a single Templar here and a single cannon. And that's pretty much all you need. Archon going to be morphed. This probably just gets cleaned up by the Archons. If the DT helps out, it'll just win by itself. And like I said, there's just no answer to the carriers. They can't be killed.
Yeah, he didn't even start his 3-2 timing, I don't think, and I doubt he's had the money to do that now, so I think it's also going to be stuck on 2-1 upgrades on top of all the rest of the deficits he's having to face at this present moment. Like, he's 100 supplied to 150, he's not really mining, he's floated the command center, he's landed it just now, so he's only just now been able to start producing a few more Goliaths, but I don't think he's got any kind of critical. Does catch these carriers out in the open field, does get one of the kills on them. There is another one that's reasonably solid up, does get a lot of damage on this other carrier, reduce them down to 6 actually. That's a pretty good start for here for Mihu.
That's a good start, but he just doesn't have money as a follow-up. If he had some type of economy to follow up with, maybe, but that's it. GG.
Wow, Zhanhun's going up 2-0 already in this series now. Kid, what is going on?
This is not what I was expecting. When we first were introduced to Mihu and Zhanhun really struggled to even deal with the first attack from Mihu. Now here he is, not only shutting down the drops, he shuts down the first attack and the second attack and expands like crazy. And now he's also just picking Mihu apart. He's saying like, oh, you're over there? Yeah, that's nice. I'm over here, man. And you got to react to me because I'm the one with all the money.
I mean, right now it seems like Zhanhun's got Mihu's number and he's like prank calling him.
I think that this dropship build is really not working out for him. It makes all of his timings really slow, and then it allows Zhanhun to have all the econ he needs to overwhelm Mihu. I think in game 3, Mihu needs to reconsider this drop play and just try and play his 4-factor, 5-factor. Actually, we've been seeing 6-fact for some reason this season.
Yeah. What do you think Mihu can do to adjust his style? Do you think this is purely an issue of going for that starport play and let's just go back into the straight-up 5-facts and no more messing around?
Yeah, so far I think it's just the drops are just a big commitment. They haven't gotten any damage, and if you don't get any damage, you just don't have any timings at all. And Mihu loves to do 5-fact timings. Like, it's not like he's going into a 4th fact and then immediately expanding, right? He's always putting a 5th fact down, building a lot of units, delaying the 3rd base, and it's making it hard for him to recover the economic gap. Like, if Zhanhun didn't make his failed Arbiter recall, or if he didn't make that failed follow-up Arbiter attack, I mean, we would have had a maxed out Protoss army versus like just 120 supply.
Right.
So, I don't know. It just this series, the drops aren't working. I'd like to see him just play the 5-fact or gasless into 5-fact or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that assessment. I think we need to see a gasless or 2 out of Mihu and just more straight up 5-factories. I don't think he should be trying to mix it up too much. It's playing too much out of his wheelhouse, and against someone like Zhanhun, I don't think he's going to be able to like bully him quite as easily as some of these other players he's been able to.
Well, we've got Retro here, and our players are ready, so let's get into game 3 between Zhanhun and Mihu. Okay, in the bottom left, we do have Mihu, and I think we already missed the beginning, which is Zhanhun in the top right. So we've got cross spawns here. Not the greatest of spawns for Terran. If Protoss was bottom right, this would be the dream scenario for Mihu, because he can use bottom middle as a stepping stone to build a command center and push with it. Right. But cross spawn makes this a little more tricky.
Yeah. I mean, this makes me think that if I was Mihu here, I'm taking the center as my 4th if I'm in this situation.
Definitely could. That's the most common 4th base. I wonder what Zhanhun will opt for. He's gone back-to-back carrier games. I mean, he did open Arbor, but still the end-game goal was carrier. I wonder if that's his ultimate game plan here, is just survive, get the carriers, and win the game, kind of like what DeWalt did on Dark Origin yesterday.
Yeah. What does Zhanhun do here then? Do we have another rangeless? Do we go 12 Nexus? I feel like 12 Nexus would be great.
I like the 12 Nexus. Queue up another probe, please.
He might.
Oh, it is.
Ooh.
He's dirty, man.
He had his cross map as well, so that's going to be another bad news bears for me when he finally scouts this. Oh wow, he's 2-0 up and he's getting cross map Nexus first. Like, what is this? This guy is high on life right now.
And actually, Mihu's doing a gasless here. He cannot punish this. This cannot be punished. So you're just going to have to accept that, yes, you got a good eco opener as Terran, but you can do nothing.
It's more often because Terran's just so frustrated with 12 Nexus on the ladder and what have you, right?
Yeah, you can't do anything to it. You pull, you're dead. Especially if Zhanhun does the 2-gate that he did on Apocalypse. I guess that's the one saving grace, is the fact that Zhanhun did a 2-gate on Apocalypse probably signals to me that if he 12 Nexuses, he's most likely going to do it again. So gasless versus 12 Nexus in that sense, where Protoss is at least cutting a little bit, you're not that far behind.
Well, we're seeing that here, maybe. He might do the same kind of cutting 12 Nexus. He is going for the fast double gate. We'll probably make gas about 16 right now. Yeah, man. Go on.
Sorry. I was going to say, he's scouted pretty fast as Protoss, and he's going to find him. He might actually cancel that gate. I mean, at least that's what I would do, is I would just cancel it and use it for cybernetics.
I think you can keep it and just not make 2 Zealots, maybe. I think that's the play.
Yeah, looking at how it unfolded, you're right, he had the money in time for the cybernetics. So he is just going to skip the Zealot because there's no reason to build them now. This is a defensive 12 Nexus, and Mihu still has no idea what this is. So he preemptively builds a bunker, which is not bad, but if you could afford to skip that, that's definitely what you want to skip.
Yeah, the way this Protoss build lines up, if you skip even just 1 Zealot, that even enables you not to have to cut probes. So, yeah, at that point, as long as just you don't make 2 Zealots, you're kind of sitting pretty as Protoss, even if you make the 2 gates.
Yep, and Mihu now sees the bad news. This guy got away with a 12 Nexus, didn't even build the Zealot. I mean, yes, technically there's a Zealot now, but it wasn't an early Zealot.
And it wasn't 2.
Yeah, and it wasn't 2, and the tech's already done. And there's no range coming. He's probably going to go straight Robo off of this.
He can do. Yeah, he doesn't actually have to go for range here at all. He's going to try and actually chase down the SCV with the probe. Look at this from Zhanhun, feeling really confident right now.
Indeed he is. I think Zhanhun, after confirming that it was a bunker, could actually even just build a 3rd Nexus. Because the bunker does stall your second factory and initial factory quite a long time. I mean, maybe I'm a little biased here with
Just
that comment, but yeah, Robo comes down, so this is gonna be safe follow-up. Mihu's floating a lot of minerals and gas, or he was a moment ago. Is it another starport, man?
Oh,
please
no. Please no. Come on, Mihu. No. I think he is. He's got an SCV just waiting there. Okay. Oh.
It's an eBay.
Okay.
Or it's an academy or an armory or something. Okay, it's an armory.
It's not a starport, which is all we're happy about.
Yeah. So oh my gosh, it's already setting up for Stargates, dude.
Okay. Well, okay, but it's just 2 base arbiter, 2 base carrier. Do you think just 2 base carrier?
I think it's 2 base carrier, and actually, with Mihu opening the way he is right now with the fast academy and the armory, if he scans this and this actually is 2 base carrier, well, it's going to be another situation where Mihu should 7 fact, and Zhanhun's going to have to buy as much time as possible.
Yeah.
Technically, Zhanhun hasn't put down the Stargates, but really, that pylon really does look like a Stargate pylon.
Does Mihu have the composure here to execute the 7 fact though? Like, do you think he's, because we saw before he kind of blundered a little bit of his timing. Do you think we might see a repeat of that, or do you think this time we're going to see a much more classic Mihu and just like nice pristine executed timing attack right before the carries become relevant?
I think he'll nail it this time. I think that he'll probably sit back. He doesn't feel pressure like with the drops, where he didn't really do much damage. When you do a drop and it doesn't do much damage, and you're facing a 12 Nexus, you really do feel like, okay, I got to go do something. But versus this, he's got a good eco opener. He's going to have his upgrades also, and you really either want to wait for +2 or wait for 1-1. So either way, he's going to be waiting.
Yeah.
There's only one Stargate, though.
So far, yeah.
So far, no fleet beacon just yet. A scan went off, and it looks like he scanned the main. Now, the cybernetics is spinning, and you would be thinking, like, well, okay, probably cut range for the robo, but would the cybernetics still be spinning at this point? I feel like range should be done by now.
He's building... okay, I think he just threw down the fleet beacon now. He's going to throw down another Stargate.
Should be another... yeah, that's another Stargate right there.
Yeah. There's the fleet beacon and 2 Stargates going down.
And Zhanhun is setting up for a third base at mid-right also. He is up 20 supply. There's the 4th fact. That's a pretty damn fast 4th factory also, but this is off of a gasless, and there's no starport, so this is a 1-1. So this is definitely a timing. This is
what we need as Terran here.
Yeah, you need this. If you're not going to go 2-1, which is the massive breakpoint, this is what you want, which is just a flood of factories with 1-1. And another scan went off, but I didn't see exactly where it was.
Yeah, I didn't see the exact... well, if he sees the core spinning, that's all he really needs, unless it's a fake out, right? Like, he should be tipped off to that as soon as he sees that core spinning.
That is definitely a tell if that's what he saw. Zhanhun's still no Nexus. Even though carriers are expensive, I thought by now the Nexus would be coming down, but maybe I'm wrong here.
He still has the money for it as well. He's prioritizing everything but the Nexus. It's just chilling there. So unless that probe is just chilling there so that in case he scanned the 3rd base and saw the probe was waiting to build the Nexus, they're trying to obfuscate the 2-base carrier timing maybe. That's why the probe's just waiting there.
Well, another scan went off again. I don't know exactly. It looks like he scanned the main most likely. And yeah, he did scan the main. He still sees the cybernetic spinning, and at this point you know that there's definitely air. Also, the gateway count is way low for it to not be carrier, so he knows what it is. And look at that, he's going a 6-fact here.
Well, yeah, you'd expect to see like 5 or 6 gateways at least by this stage of the game, and usually if there's not, the only thing it could be is something like a 2-base crazy tech timing, so it kind of does indicate carriers, and they're only going for that cybernetics core weapons upgrade if they're either transitioning to carriers eventually or going carriers now, and it's much more likely to be the latter.
Well, there is an SCV setting up, like he's going to put down a starport to start scaling into the 2-1, but I don't know if you can support 6-fact plus 2-1 into a carrier build like this, but he does have a decent gas bank. He has no, or Zhanhun has no carriers out right now, so this could be a really solid timing. Even if he did, how many interceptors can he possibly have at this point? Mihu is on the move.
Yeah, I mean, Zhanhun's a little bit out of position as well. Like, if he can keep the Protoss army screened away, maybe he can just get something done here. But Zhanhun's trying to buy time and rotate around all the way into this 9 o'clock high ground pocket. He has got no speed on these zealots for the time being, so there's no way he can really engage this army in any, like, meaningful way. Maybe he can try and set up a kill box at the high ground. I think he just wants to keep rotating as long as possible and buy as much time.
Well, this is exactly what Zhanhun should do, is just buy time. He's actually got high ground advantage over some of these tanks.
Okay, he lost a lot. Yeah, he needs to keep pulling back, like making it look like he's going to fight and then pulling back.
That's what he did, and now he's going to try and pick off this tank, but he's going to lose a couple of goons in the process. We're going to have Mihu go up in supply in just a second. And the first carriers are out on the field, but it's only 2, and you lost your entire ground army, bro. You can't be out on the map now.
Yeah, and this is like only 1 carrier worth of DPS, since there's only like, 7 or 8 interceptors total. So this is not like the kind of army we need to fight Terran right now. He's going to try and start chipping away at the tanks and try and like keep the army at bay. But there's maybe enough Goliaths here that he can actually get something done and start to put some damage onto those carriers.
There's definitely enough. I saw reinforcements being Goliaths only. Yeah, 7 Goliaths versus 2 carriers. Goliaths will win that battle. And that means Zhanhun needs to desperately buy time for his 3rd and 4th carrier, but they're like just started kind of, and the tanks are just pushing relentlessly.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole another like minute and a half before those other 2 carriers even pop out. So right now this is like a dire situation, and with this like big bridge as well to kind of choke point up, like it's going to be a little bit tough to use these Dragoons for support, and he's going to edge forward slowly but surely with these tanks as well, and force Zhanhun into an engagement that's probably not favorable.
There's just not enough stuff on the ground to deal with the Terran army. The tanks are still in high number at just 4, but that's a lot of DPS. The Goliaths are now going to swoop on around. and just body block the carriers from dealing with the tanks, and that means that the tank's gonna have free reign over the natural. That carrier, it can't die. If it dies, there's no chance that Zhanhun can hold this.
Yeah, he needs a critical mass of 4 carriers and getting up to a high count of interceptors to even have a chance at fighting back these Goliaths, but I don't think that's even going to come to pass. Like, even with the army he's got now, he's just going to start smashing face at this 3 o'clock, and now these 2 carriers are going to chip away a little bit at this army, but there's enough, yeah, just going to have to GG out here. So quick little turnaround from Mihu, getting some momentum back into the wind behind his sails to maybe hopefully get a better heading here in this matchup.
Yeah, and this is what we were expecting to see, or at least what I was expecting to see yesterday in the Dark Origin game versus the Walt, is you got your 6 fact or your 7 fact, you hit a timing before the carriers can be critical mass. But the difference here is there ain't no bridges on Retro. So you just move across the map, and you can see why that particular timing is very good versus carriers, because as soon as the ground army's gone, the carriers just can't do jack squat. So a bit of a misstep there. Zhanhun felt way too confident in his 12 Nexus power, and Mihu punished him accordingly.
Yeah, I don't think he bought the time that he needed with his infantry force. I also feel like skirmishing from the high ground was the wrong play. I feel like it'd been way better if he kept rotating around down to the Terran's natural and just, like, as ArtOfToSs would say, dance all day.
he tried to make something happen with the loop around, but he just lost way too many goons to those tanks. While we're taking a breather from our 4th game, I do want to mention that we actually have some more BSL events coming up. We've got the Race Wars coming up. It's going to be Thursdays and Saturdays, so it's going to be, the Terran squad versus the Zerg squad versus the Protoss squad. Not sure who all the players are going to be, but that's always exciting. We had Terror, I think, last season from Terran, being like the only Terran player that was getting victory, so hopefully he plays again. Of course, nice. the Protoss squad, I'm sure, will be mega stacked with the Walt and crew. And then Zerg, I'm hoping Zeke and Crossy play because they're super good to represent the Zerg squad. And then after the Race Wars, we also have Nation Wars. Ooh. And that could be interesting because, I'm going to toot our own horn here. NA did very well versus a lot of the EU squad. So that would be fun to see.
Yeah, your NA team would definitely be far more formidable than it would be back in the day. That's for damn sure.
A lot of people have definitely leveled up in the NA squad, so hopefully we can see something like that. So you should be on the lookout for that in the near future. And we are ready with Game 4 now. It's going to be Radeon. This time Mihu's pick, so let's get into it. Alrighty. Alrighty, in the top right. Oh, wait a second. We are switching over.
Please stand by while we try to connect you.
Yeah.
AT&T guys, what can you do?
All right, there we go. So in the bottom right, we do have Zhanhun. And in the top right, we do have Mihu. And, I talked about this yesterday. Vertical spawns, they're really good for Terran on this map. And Mihu, once again, has got it. And, how well his gasless worked on here yesterday. And now he just got a victory with gasless here in Game 3. If I'm him, I would do it again.
I mean, if you get a victory with gasless against 12 Nexus, that's got to give you some confidence and a bit of spunk, right?
It should, because you're never feeling good about that scenario, especially when you get in their base and you see that they didn't really cut it all. Like, it was an Eco 12 Nexus. Yes, he had a second gate, but he didn't build two Zealots in response.
Right.
Now, Zhanhun this time, not feeling the 12 Nexus this time. He's got Gateway coming down, and again going to be going for a relatively quick scout.
Yeah, looks like the probe is scouting in the correct direction. So,
11 gas.
Ooh, okay. So would have been able to maybe put a little bit of pressure even if he did go 12 Nexus. So yeah, looks like Mihu's making some adjustments here and deciding to keep his options as open as possible.
I think this is the first 11 gas I've seen from Mihu maybe ever.
In a long time. I can't even remember seeing him ever go 11 gas.
This is a really good opener these days. Really does allow you to punish 12 Nexus even if you just send a single vulture and that's it, it can be very punishing. Now that probe is... Go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's exactly how Sharp likes to play, and I actually do really like it, because it does allow you to even get like free punish on 12 Nexus, because your vulture arrives just before the 2 goons are coming down the ramp, so you can get a little bit of probe harass, kill a couple of probes, nice and mining time, and actually really devastate the build, even just that critical timing.
Exactly, and if they play a 2-gate low eco 12 Nexus, you're dealing damage to the probe line while they already hurt their own probe line. However, this factory 235, that is 10 seconds late. So this is an 11 gas technically, but it's a 12 gas factory timing. So that probe.
Can we just dissect how that happened?
It looked like the probe just forced a lot of lost mining time, and maybe he built the depot really quickly. I didn't actually see the depot timing, but this is definitely a late factory for an 11 gas.
Yeah, I think he made the depot because he had to, because he has to make sure he keeps marine production for the Zealot timing. So I don't necessarily fault him for that, but it has really handicapped his factory timing.
Well, here we go. We're going to have the Zealot engage onto the marines, and so far, this is exactly why you don't do Zealot pressure versus Mihu, because it didn't do anything.
Look at that. That's beautiful. That's like almost like boxer-like micro right there.
The boxer marine triangle right there, and it did oh no, he built another Zealot, man. I mean, this is really not good. He must have cut probes for this. He's going to put down a Nexus, and
Mihu sees it.
Yeah, Mihu sees it. He doesn't even need to build a bunker now. He can probably get out a vulture or a tank, and he sees the Zealot turn around. So this is really great for Mihu.
Oh yeah, best case scenario. Like, he could do anything he wants right now. He can make the tank, then just go CC.
He might timing it, actually. Okay, maybe not. He didn't build any additional marines, but I think if he had have built non-stop marines, he would have had like 6 by now. And because this was a pretty fast Nexus, I'm not sure range would have been in time. Looks like we lagged out again.
Yeah. We need to get a new service provider.
Yeah. Well, there's the tank. Okay, this is going to be dangerous, because as soon as I see this being a tank, you know a push is... Yep, there we go. A push is coming. It is on the way. 1 tank, 5 marines. This is going to be really hard to stop, especially since the Zealot did no damage. And it's only 1... The Robo kind of just started, so there's no hope for a Reaver or Observer anytime soon.
Ooh. Is this going to be a quick little 2-0 here from Mihu?
It definitely could be. Luckily, there's a Zealot to try and buy some time, but when the Marines are this high in number, Zealots aren't even that strong, and the Vulture's already here.
Yeah,
mine is set up.
Mines as well. Like, oh, the mine. That's a huge detonation. That's critical for Mihu right now. Enough HP remaining on these Marines as well. Probes are going to have to be pulled off the line to even have a chance at making sure this goes well for him. Can still get something done here. If he can catch the tank with the probes, that might be something. Doesn't quite get the full surround now, and now instead will be punished, I think, by this Vulture coming into support.
Oh, the tank is so low, but... Oh, how low is that goon? It maybe, yeah, it gets shot. It gets taken down. Probes are trying to desperately get rid of those mines, because remember, the Robo isn't done anytime soon. It's going to be a long time until he has vision for that mine with the Observer.
Oh, the tank from Zhanhun! Beautiful play from Zhanhun catching that tank, but does play the price of losing the Dragoon, and now the probes having to evacuate the natural expansion. This is devastating for him.
Oh, this is devastating damage. Vulture got 3 probe kills already, and behind this, more Vultures are just coming across the map. Still no Observer out, so this base cannot be mined. Another probe is gonna fall. Oh no!
Oh no! Oh! And he's getting away with a Vulture behind the mineral line.
Oh, this is crazy damage. And behind... Oh, there's another Vulture!
There's another Vulture in the main, laying down mines. This is crazy, Nyoken. How can he even recover from this?
Yeah, I don't know if he can. Mihu's not all in with this either. He's got his own command center up and running. He's dealt so much damage here. He's going to get another probe.
This is just insane. I love the crazy levels of interactions that Mihu just constantly forces out of people.
I thought that goon might die. That goon, oh my gosh, that was very close.
can just wait for the observers to come out to clean those up, but finally gonna have some kind of safety net set up here. Doesn't know about this one mine, so you also see when the second gas is taken by Zhanhun with that mine.
And I was just about to say this. If there's any game to cut for factories, this is the game. You did crippling damage. Not only did you get probed, you got also multiple goons. The Zealot. Just get double add-on, man, and start ramping up that tank count so you can hit a solid 4 or 5 fact timing. In my opinion, I think Zhanhun is doing what he needs to do, which he's going to go Reaver. Reaver needs to get across the map and try and pray that a Scarab connects, because 2-base Protoss versus 2-base Terran, this is going to be really rough unless Zhanhun can limit the eco that Mihu's got.
Yeah, and you just lost another Dragoon as well to the siege tanks and the natural, so this is really rough for Zhanhun. Like, he's really up against it. Like, he's trying to take a Nexus right now at 6, but he's so far behind the curve in like every metric.
He is definitely in a world of trouble this game, and Mihu's economy has not been disrupted at all. His 3rd and 4th factory are about to finish. Reaver should be out any moment now. The shuttle I still haven't seen move out just yet.
Well, with snow level Reaver micro and Mihu's army being way out of position, maybe something could be done to get some kind of crippling damage onto the SCVs, but then he might just get squashed to the push if the Reavers aren't slowing down the push, so he needs the Reavers to defend really anyway, so I don't know if this is even possible to defend unless like Mihu botches it.
It looks like the Reaver is going to go across the map, and like you said, without the Reaver, how can you defend this? I don't think you actually can. But okay, there is a turret in the natural. Yeah, this is an unstoppable push. There's way too many mines. There's way too many tanks. He doesn't really have stuff to flank with either. I mean, technically he does, but it's what, 4 goons in total?
Yeah, he has a few units at 6, I think, that he can maybe mobilize, but yeah, the Reaver in the main base might get something done here. 2 Zealots going to work on that.
No!
Oh, the Reaver goes down to SCVs, not like this. Are you kidding me? GG called. Wow, quick equalizer game from Mihu, re-establishing dominance in this matchup here.
Yeah, what was a 2-0 from Zhanhun is all of a sudden a quick 2-2. So Mihu has brought it back, and now we're just, into a best of 3 at this point. Both players slugging it out in back-to-back games, and Mihu, I like the mix-up, man. The gasless was great, and finally the 11 gas coming in, doing crippling amounts of damage with that Marine tank push.
Wow, I'm kind of like impressed. Like, I love that players of Mihu's caliber have that sort of mental where it doesn't really phase them too much if they get into these kinds of awkward situations. They can still just play their A game and crush face.
Yeah, and clearly the Reaver moving across the map was just an anti-timing. I think you were right. If the Reaver's there and you've got the snow micro, there actually wasn't a lot of support for the tanks. Like, there was no Marines, there were no Goliaths, there's just Vultures. He probably could have.
We could force sieges, right? Like, he can just force siege, take a shot, run back. And it just buys a little bit of time. A few more units come out the gateways, but yeah, I think going for the base with the Reaver is like an auto lose almost.
Yeah, based on how the timing was, I thought the Reaver was going to get out faster, and then I do think countering is the way. But moving out when Terran was moving out was obviously an anti-timing here. So our remaining 3 maps, well, they're going to be weird ones. The first one's going to be Lobotomy, then Citadel, which I think is an amazing Terran map, and then we've got Dark Origin, which is a 2-player map, always tough for both sides.
I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like Mihu's like not that uncomfortable in Lobotomy as well. Like, I think out of most Terran players, I think he's probably more than capable on that with his early game defense.
I think he is also, but what I'm curious about is, did you notice that Dark Origin was picked last?
Yeah.
Lobotomy got picked.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it means maybe 9-9 gate.
I feel like you must have something planned here, because this is not a ladder map.
Special
you must
say.
Yeah, you must be requesting specific practice from other Chinese players. An interesting pick, and it's Zhanhun's pick. So let's get into game 5. Lobotomy, series tied 2-2. Okay, in the bottom right, we do have Zhanhun. And in the top left, we've got Mihu. And with the probe not being sent on the 5th probe, there's no way that this is going to be proxy anymore. At best, it's going to be a forward proxy. But rush distances are really far. I don't know how that would work out. I guess it is low ground. But yesterday we saw DeWalt try and proxy at the guy's third base, and it didn't do any damage.
Yeah, I mean, I have to think that Zhanhun watched that series and kind of like gleaned a few things from that, maybe to avoid, and other things to maybe capitalize on more. So we might see quite a bit of an adjustment from the way that Zhanhun approaches Mihu in this matchup after watching that series.
There goes the probe. This is going to be gas steal, or at least he's going to try and gas steal.
Yeah, force him to make a guess prematurely at least, and then that will slow down the timings of his build, having to slow down his marine production and what have you.
Wonder if Mihu will cut to make sure he doesn't get gas stolen here. The probe is kind of... Actually, this probe is very late. If you were playing somebody that plays an 11 gas more often, this is way late. Like this, look at this. He's going to get here at 140, and you can 12 gas this. This was a big misplay from Zhanhun, but maybe it wasn't, because actually it's a 12 Nexus.
Do you think this is, so this is like a bait kind of play where you make it look like you're going for the gas steal or whatever, but really you just intended to 12 Nexus the entire time?
It does look like that, but it is fishy when Protoss comes at a time like this, because you're like, wait a minute, man, what was the goal of this? You weren't here to gas steal me. Like, what was the intention? Which is why you saw Mihu pull 3 SCVs off the line, because he knows, like, we're not playing at B rank where the build orders don't make any sense. Like, this is as high as the ladder goes, right? So you know that this was a planned tactic, and for you to miss something as simple as gas stealing, that's just unlikely. So Mihu's going to come across the map and see that it was just a fast scout into 12 Nexus.
Yeah, I have to think that someone of Mihu's caliber will not be phased by those kinds of like tricks. Like obviously like a B rank Terran or an A rank Terran might be like fooled by that kind of shenanigans, but yeah, someone of his caliber, when he knows what Zhanhun's like wheelhouse of play is going to be, I don't think he's going to be easily fooled.
Once again, this probe has done incredible damage, and I'm not even talking about this one. I'm talking about the one across the map. This was a 250 factory. That's like 14 gas level timing factory. I mean, that was just delayed so long. And once again, Mihu's gonna do this one Marine, one SCV move, but the SCV's so low that it's actually just gonna be the Marine. And the probe's like, that's funny, you wanna fight? Well, then let's fight, bro.
Yeah. This is looking like a ZVT almost, right? With the drones coming off the line to like pressure back against the 8 racks or what have you. And yeah, I mean, probes are very nimble units, and with just a little bit of micro, you can make Marines look silly in this small number.
It already died. I don't even... he got one shot off and then it immediately died.
Yeah, it's not like you can run away either. The probe will just chase you down as well.
Yeah. So that was not ideal for Mihu, and the Zealot's out, so any future harassment is not going to do anything.
And Marines in production.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, there's no Marines in production, even though he has no vision. I think he's just confident that his Vulture can hold.
Which it can, for some time.
Yeah, I wonder what this money is going to go into, because as we've stated and seen, Mihu is someone that really does like building Marines and doing pressure moves, even if he doesn't attack with them, just force you to build units. So the fact that he didn't build any Marines, and look at him banking stuff up, I mean, he's got to have something planned. What's this SCV going? He's going to hide a base at mid-right?
Well, I was thinking, is he going to go like fast 3 base? I thought he might go like, you know, into mines and then 3rd command center, maybe, to counter the 12 Nexus.
This looks like it could be a hidden 3rd base, or... Whoa. He's going to take top right? I thought it might be a starport, but... we kind of are getting...
Wild.
It is a command center. That is crazy.
Right.
You were right.
I thought that was what he was doing. It actually kind of makes sense against what Zhanhun's doing, so I can't really fault it, honestly. This is a very, very authentic way of playing against this kind of Nexus opening.
Yeah, mines into triple extend like this is one of the follow-ups that Terran players do, but it is very, very...
Very.
What's the word? Fragile. Like
Yeah.
if Protoss scouts it, they're gonna run across the map and kill it. But if it gets up even for like just 30 seconds or a minute, sometimes that's all the econ you need to have kick in from that base to have enough defense to defend all three.
Now the idea behind this is like you're banking on them just having a slow enough observer timing that they can't come out onto the map soon enough to really like punish you or at least scout it. So yeah, they won't be lined up to deal with it. Much like you can't really punish a 12 Nexus in some situations. He's banking on that and getting away with murder for just a minute or two before he gets set up and gets his production online.
And what's funny is all these Starport games have actually backfired for Zhanhun here because he sees what he's been seeing in the first two games, a lot of vultures. And what does that mean? It means that a drop's coming, so he's sitting in his base, and guess what? It ain't drops. It's the biggest eco opener you could hope for, which is a third base with almost no defense.
And he's going Stargate. He's going Stargate.
This is another massive mega counter by Mihu. All Mihu needs to do now is get in an academy, because I don't think Zhanhun can punish top right anymore. If he gets an academy and scans this, not only can he get 7 fact, he can probably go 9 fact, and there's no hope for Protoss on two bases.
Go full on Chewbacca style Terran with a crazy amount of factories. Yeah, 9. It's 9 free machine shop and just absolutely bulldozer him.
Yeah, Zhanhun really needs to figure out what this is. Because this third base is going to be so impactful. Not only is it, of course, additional minerals, but it also has a third gas. So he's going to be able to pump out just 1 billion Goliaths. And unfortunately, there's nothing really in Mihu's main that signals to me that Zhanhun's going to be able to read it. Because by the time the observer gets across the map, he's going to see an armory. He's going to see probably the 3rd and 4th factory coming down. He's going to see a comsat, and he's going to be thinking, oh, this looks normal, but it definitely is not.
No, I mean, the one thing that would tip him off is maybe the factory timings. Like, it seems slightly slow, so maybe he can figure something out, but yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to figure this out. Like, I think that's too much of a complex Chinese puzzle for him.
Well, the observer gets in, and he technically didn't even scout the top side of the base yet. So he still probably thinks those are the 3rd and 4th factory, but you know, there could be more at the top, and he still hasn't confirmed that. Oh no, he's backing off. So there's no way to read that this was hidden.
Yeah. Has he got 4 SCVs on his gas at his natural as well, right, Mihu?
Probably. It's one of those weird mining layouts.
Well, if the comsat's on the right with the gas, then you have to have full mining, right?
Yeah, you do, because they bug out. And by the way, that was a perfect scan from Mihu. So not only does he have mines delaying the third base, but he also sees that it's carriers. And this base has been running for an obscene amount of time. And look how many factories there are. This is what I was talking about. This is 8 factories. There's no way you're stopping this. There's just going to be so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even have a 3rd base going up right now. He just will not have the production at all necessary to deal with this. This is probably going to be a 3-2 Mihu victory. I hate to call it this early, but unless Mihu really blunders his engagement and messes up his army control, I just don't see how Zhanhun could mount a defense against this.
There are some high grounds on this map, so maybe the Goliath AI can get bugged out, but you can see that Mihu's already cutting SCVs, which is rare, so he's going to be really pumping out a ton of units. And still, Zhanhun doesn't know about top right. His observer is just sitting outside of the natural. He's waiting for, to see Mihu take a third base, but that's never going to happen because he already has one.
Yeah, everything about Zhanhun's play telegraphs that he has absolutely no idea about this third base. He's playing it like it's just a 2-base Terran timing, and nothing is crazy about this, and he's going to be in for a world of shock soon.
With the third gas, he can pump out Goliaths out of all of his factories, plus build some tanks here and there. So it's going to be really huge tank count, good vulture count, 1 billion Goliaths, that's for sure. And look at the supplies. We're within 15 supply. Remember, this was a 12 Nexus opener. So Terran's within 15 supply versus a 12 Nexus opener. That's all you need to know about how this game is going for Terran.
He has enough production to shut down a 3-base carrier play, and he's up against a 2-base carrier play. So yeah, as long as he trades at even close to a 40-50% ratio, then he's sitting pretty all day, every day.
Well, if Mihu does continue to sit, it can start to get scary because the first 2 carriers should be out. 3rd and 4th should be on the way. But if he goes now with rallied reinforcements, I don't think Protoss can stop this army. There's also Zealots in here, which are completely useless. Absolutely useless.
He's getting a wedge in between these Protoss forces already, and the infantry already getting like a little bit dried up here for Zhanhun before even the battle has begun. Mihu is starting to surpass him in supply just for a moment there before the production cycles kick in again for Zhanhun. So, and Mihu also confident enough just to go straight into 4 base while doing this. So Zhanhun not even getting his 3rd base up and mining while Mihu's thinking about throwing down his 4th.
Well, he does have 4 carriers now, and if you do look at that choke right there at the top, that could be annoying to deal with. There is a decent amount of high ground, and carriers in numbers of 4 can be scary. So and this is high ground for Protoss. I think if you're going to take an engagement, you got to take this one, but instead, he's going to try and counter, so the game is going to get weird. But Mihu's all the way across the map already. He can probably just kill this Nexus immediately.
Well, here's the thing. If he can force Mihu to come up through this tiny little choke point and engage here, maybe something can be done. This is the most ideal situation for Zhanhun right now. This is maybe the moment he was looking for to kind of wedge the Terran army between this tiny little temple choke.
Yep, exactly. This is actually going to be a good engagement. That's a lot of goons at the top side, but the tank count is so high that the goons just cannot contest this army. I think +1 is kicked in for Mihu now. Yeah. These goons are all dead. This base is not going to be really denied, and there's so many Goliaths now. In Mihu's main, there's not that many turrets for defense, but I think just reinforcements from the factories will be more than enough to deal with just these 4 carriers.
Yeah, this is the problem, is that he can't even really threaten the Terran production that much. Like, he can't even really make the Terran army turn around and defend this, because there'll be enough production coming out to ward that off anyway. So Mihu's just going to go full steam ahead and keep the gas pedal all the way down to the floor right now and go and take out this base in the bottom left and then rotate around to the rally.
There's just not enough interceptors to deal with the Goliaths. Zhanhun is probably thinking, like, what the hell happened, dude?
Yeah.
Like, how does this guy have so much stuff? It's different when the Terran has this much stuff, but the army's mostly vultures. But the fact that he's able to build this many tanks and this many Goliaths is probably the most confusing part here.
If I was like Zhanhun, I'd be thinking, am I playing against like Isle of Uv or something? Like, what is this?
Yeah, he's just getting out macroed like crazy. He still doesn't know about top right, by the way. Bottom left is 100% dead. This Nexus is about to get taken down, and you're not breaking this, so this is going to be 3-2 for Mihu, and that means he's going to be 1 game away from taking the series after starting down 2-0.
Crazy. Like, Mihu is definitely like the champion mindset of a player. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Zhanhun himself is like more than capable of taking championship titles, but Mihu's just in a league of his own, it seems, in the Chinese scene.
He is definitely something else. 6 carriers, they're scary, and there's just still not enough. There's enough Goliaths here to be not necessarily critical mass, but at least push the carriers back. That Nexus is dead, and Terran's just turning around, and he's just going to sync everything together to get the killing blow off.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't actually have to kill the carriers. He can just shred interceptors and just bleed Zhanhun dry right now. Oh, this is just devastating. And now the carriers are kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. They can actually be completely devastated right now. They have to be in full retreat, loses all the infantry. Might be able to catch this 1 tank if he wanted to, but there's not really anything Zhanhun can do here. He's down like 50 supply, only 1 mining base. Can start a Nexus now, but he's just so far behind the curve. Like, eventually Mihu's going to squash him.
Eventually he should. There is a lot of carriers. It is still 6. I saw the Stargate blinking, so a 7th should be on the way. But the army is just unstoppable. It's just way too many Goliaths, and this isn't even all the stuff. There's a huge amount of Goliaths at the rally point.
Yeah, there's over a control group of units at the rally point, I think, as well as this army being here. This is kind of nutty. But all because of this early 3rd base. This was a genius idea from Mihu. It wasn't like it was like completely crazy. Like, it's a very viable. Oh, that big mine hit on the goons is on the left as well. It's crazy mines. Absolutely insane. Adding insult to injury here, losing pretty much all of his infantry to like 2 or 3 mines. And now the carrier's still caught out of position as well. So we can either shred interceptors or try and be ballsy and just go for the 1 or 2 carriers here as well. But it doesn't even matter. No matter what Mihu does, is probably going to be a high enough EV to win the game.
Yep, here we are. We're on the doorstep. ProToss, look at the money. 69, 27, 2. He can't even afford interceptors anymore. We're just waiting for the GG at this point.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a slow GG timing here, but you can't really fault him. It is his tournament life after all, and losing this 5th game in the series is kind of critical, getting that 3-2 advantage. GG finally called Mihu on a 3-game winning streak against Zhanhun, looking super confident and back in his element.
And that was huge brain play. Set him up with the drops in the beginning. Goes for the command center because he knows the guy's going to be respecting the dropship. Never scout. At no point in the game did that observer go to top right. Even after Zhanhun probably realized, like, something's weird here. Why am I getting slammed? He still didn't go scout all that. Like, he didn't do, like, you know, what Terran players do, which is the GG scans where they scan every single base to see. He didn't even patrol the observer across the map to see what was going on. So Zhanhun, hopefully he watched the replay to figure out what that was, because if he goes 12 Nexus again and Mihu does the same thing, I don't think Zhanhun's going to respond any differently. I think he'll probably be blindsided once more, so hopefully he checks that replay.
He's watching the replay on time 16 for sure. There's no way he's not. After that game with that amount of weirdness, he has to be watching the replay on fast.
Yeah, he better. It's now 1 point away for Mihu to make it into the finals, the absolute finals of the BSL, which would be a rematch between him and Dawid, where Dawid just barely eked by. We're now going to be going into his map pick, Citadel. This map is a crazy Terran map. I don't care what the stats say. I don't know what the stats exactly are, but Terran on 4 bases that get them for pretty much free with walls that body block your tanks for you, that is a crazy map. I would pick this map probably over any other map. And the fact that Terran or Mihu gets to pick it in Game 6, up 3-2, you got to be feeling really, really good.
Yeah, I think the only thing that you can say for ProToss on Citadel is like the 6, the top middle, right middle, bottom middle, and left middle bases. Like the cliff edges are quite tight, so it's easier to utilize shuttles and arbiters at those bases for harassment and that kind of purposes. But besides that, it's a pretty strong map for Terran.
Definitely really, really strong. And with the open mains, drops are also very good. And we are getting into our 6th game. Citadel, we're ready. Can Mihu close it out here, or can Zhanhun win and bring us to Game 7? And in the red bottom right, we do have Zhanhun. And in the bottom left, we've got Mr. Mihu.
What's your predictions?
I don't know. I think Zhanhun's... I don't think tilt is the right word, but...
Deflated?
He seems... Yeah, he's deflated here. He's off, because clearly the game plan has been to get to carriers versus this guy, because he's gone carriers every game. But now that you've lost 3 in a row doing that, and you're getting away with 12 Nexus, if I'm him, I'm probably thinking, like, what do I need to open with that gets me to a state in the game where my carriers can win?
Well, how do the stars need to align for me to even beat this guy? Might be going through his mind in some kind of paraphrasing way.
Probably. I'm watching intently, okay. Thankfully, it's not a 12 Nexus, because I don't think the 12 Nexus is the play this time, even though I think it's a fantastic build in general. I think with it losing, twice in a row or 3 times, or whatever the number is, I think at this point you got to just play a normal build and try and, disrupt Mihu's econ somewhat, even if that's just building, more goons with range to make him repair his bunker. Just do something.
Mihu's going for 11 gas as well, so... And Mihu's up in the series, so I really feel like Mihu's going to be like a lot more confident about mixing it up as well. So we might see a few more of these sort of like fast gas 1-1-1 styles. I think we might even see a starport game here.
Definitely could see a starport game. This is good spawns for it directly into the main base. The main base is huge. And in general, I think these spawns are really good for Terran. You can take bottom middle easily. Not only does it cover drops, but it also intercepts drops at your natural while also defending your third if you build turrets there. So really good spawn positions for Mihu, and he gets lucky here. We'll find Zhanhun first.
Okay, so what do we do with Zhanhun then? Like, if you're deflated, you're down in the series, you've lost 3 games in a row, your go-to game plan is kind of fallen through. What do we do here to kind of reestablish any kind of momentum in the series?
Well, we haven't seen any range games, right? I think you got to go range this time. Maybe, like, he got punished on Radeon by not having a fast robo, and, like, he didn't have a lot of units. I don't know if he had range during that attack either, but I think you just got to play normal here, and that's what we're seeing so far.
Yeah. I also like this tagging of the Marine. I do this in ZVT with the drone as drone scout as well. Like, just getting 2 free hits on that Marine, softening it up a little bit can help later on in the battle simulations when you have to deal with, like, you know, your units soaking up precious hits, and that's just 1 Dragoon shot that will not be needed to kill that Marine later on.
Oh, okay, I was looking at that add-on. I was thinking maybe we're going to go fast add-on, because we did have that on Radeon, but it is going to be a fast Vulture this time. And it's only 2 Marines. Is it really only 2 Marines? I think a third one's coming.
Oh wait, is that third? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 Marines is what you need to stop the Dragoon. Of course, if you have the Vulture, then that does a lot of damage also. And immediate add-on in response. No bunker just yet, by the way. Just subtle thing to point out. And SCV gets into the main and saw that the Goon didn't come back to help or to deal with it. So he knows that it was rallied across the map, so that's why you see the bunker immediately getting put down.
Yeah. This is great little behavioral tree play here from Mihu. He's played so many games and has got it well drilled out that he knows all the tiny little adjustments to make relative to what he's scouting to kind of get himself into the best possible games. And look at this from Zhanhun. They'll get on top of the Marines move just before the load up gets one of them. We'll get the Vulture as well before rotating around and trying to kill this SCV building the CC. And that's actually a pretty significant issue here for Mihu to worry about.
It definitely is. That was a really good move from Zhanhun. And he gets the SCV, but he's taking a lot of damage on those Goons.
Yeah, he did take quite... to be honest with you, though, and there's only 2 Marines in
No
the
way.
Oh! Beautiful play. And he gets out with both Dragoons alive. Honestly, that's a pretty clutch play from our Protoss player, Zhanhun, and exactly the kind of thing that he needs to do to reassert himself.
That was really ballsy. If that tank was like 5 seconds faster and it pops out, he may not have killed the SCV and instead just loses both of the Goons for free. And he gets the SCV. But we do have Mihu on the move. He knows, like, dude, you just lost all your shields. How much firepower can these Goons actually have? But there is high ground here. This will be a really effective trade for Zhanhun. Look how he leads with the Goon in the front. Oh, focus firing that tank.
Oh, and he gets the tank as well. He does lose one of those Dragoons, but so far so good for Zhanhun. This is going beautifully for him. And now he can also get the chase on these Marines. We'll have to desperately lay a few of these mines, but we'll kill at least one of those Marines for his trouble. Oh, look at that. Is this guy Bisu? What's going on here?
Handling his inner Bisu. Picks off that Spider Mine with the Stutter Step Micro. And this is finally a game where Zhanhun's getting some damage. And we're going into Starport again. So this is going to be a really rough situation for Mihu if he does not get any damage done. You know, he's already had his natural delayed. His push did no damage. He lost a lot of Marines. He really has to have a successful drop this time. Otherwise, I think Zhanhun's going to start catapulting away.
Yeah, this is
game.
A crucial gambit for Mihu that needs to pay off. Like exactly as you say, if he doesn't do enough damage with it, I feel like he's in a real bad way. But I guess it is possible that Zhanhun, like, you know, kind of like neglects to account for this timing here and maybe does take a lot of damage. But I know with the way the game's gone, how good the trades have gone, he's got more than enough production to have 2 or 3 Dragoons close enough to defend against this.
He may actually even intercept the drop as it's coming, so he may see it on the way. There's the Zealot load up. Reaver should be coming out pretty soon. There's the Vultures waiting to be unloaded. And by the way, there's 2 Goons at the third base, 1 Goon at the natural, 1 Goon at the high ground, and 0 Dragoons in the main. This could be catastrophic damage because there are 4 vultures waiting. But if Zhanhun runs over them, he may be able to get back in time.
Yeah, if he sees it, he'll have just a few critical seconds that will negate some of the timing of this, and he sees it as well. So now the Dragoons can shuffle back into position to negate the potency of this drop, while also putting his own pressure on against Mihu.
That may be a game-saving interception right there. The Zealots get unloaded behind the turret, but they actually can't get out. They're walled in right now. The drop is heading over into no man's land, actually. So far, the Reaver and Zealot really haven't gotten that much kills, but when you open with vultures like this is why dropship is so flimsy, is because it's one tank to deal with 2 Zealots and a Reaver. Shuttle is dead, though!
Oh, he's lost his shuttle, yeah, but the tank needs to keep micro. Oh, he takes the full damage to the Scarab miss micro from Mihu. That tank is now just 1 Scarab away from dying, unfortunately, even with micro, so we'll lose that tank as well. We'll shut down this Reaver with the Wraith play, which is a nice little wise thing to go for in this situation. Really do like the Wraith follow-up from the dropship. Does help shut down any kind of shuttle play, but now still losing a lot of mining time to these Zealots despite cleaning this up.
We talked about Wraith yesterday. This is one of those situations where you had to build it because there was no way to deal with the shuttle. You had no armor, you had no Marines, really no units to deal with the Reaver. Now, Mihu, even though he had the drop, he never used it, so there wasn't like a multitask battle at all. He's going to come in for a drop now, but, you know, Zhanhun doesn't have to focus. And Zhanhun... 3 goons are already here, and Zhanhun doesn't have to focus on his Reaver anymore because it's dead, so this drop should do nothing.
Yeah, this is kind of bizarre. Like, I'm actually kind of shocked how we're seeing this amount of tempo swings in this matchup. Like, Zhanhun like smashed him in the first 2 games. Then we saw like a dominating 3 streak from Mihu, and now Zhanhun's making him look silly in this game.
I think this is the game where you can actually go carriers now. The damage that you've done is pretty immense. The damage that you took is very tiny. But if Zhanhun wants to be safe here, I think you can just do what you did on Vermeer, which is open Arbiter first, then go into carriers, make sure that this guy can never hit a timing versus you, and just overwhelm him in the mid and late game. As I say that, I see a couple more gateways go down in his main.
Yeah, right as the 3rd and 4th factory start up here from Mihu, so finally going into 4 factory production will allow him to start to come out onto the map eventually, but is that going to be enough, or is it going to be too little too late?
What do you do if you're Mihu here? He's going to do what he always does, which is 4-fact.
I think you just play like you would normally. You do like a Zerg would do against Protoss. You just play like you would normally. You just accept the fact that you're behind.
I think that's all you really can do. I think the small 2 vulture drops are also a good way to get back into the game. You know, it's a low commitment from you, but has the potential to get high value, and that's why you see him unload right here. He's gonna get one probe into the open natural. Okay, and a few probe kills. This is something. This is something. I mean, it would have been great if we got a massive mine detonation going up, but it doesn't really matter. We're actually getting a pretty significant amount of kills against these probes, so not like, you know, going to be evening out things totally here, but it's clawing his way back into the curve of the game just ever so slightly. That was definitely really good. Like 8 probes there. That's definitely a start for the comeback. And he also got to see the tech. He saw that there was a lot of gates, so he knows that, you know, there's no Stargate coming in, or at least there shouldn't be. And doesn't necessarily feel the pressure to do a timing, at least not just yet. So he can start ramping up his factory count. If that's the first armory, he is in trouble here because he has he's gonna have like a 14 or 15 minute +1 weapon.
Right. Well, he's gonna go like fast 5-fact into taking this mineral only like right away. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Zhanhun is up 40 supply already. He's got this Reaver sharking around for the angle. I think if he just went right now, you know, the guy's got all the vultures across the map. If he was to go right now, I don't know if Terran could hold it with this amount of Dragoons plus Reaver, but not willing to commit. Instead, Vulture's going to run in here, but I don't think they're going to get much damage. Oh, if there's a tank in here, maybe.
Oh,
okay, that's nice.
Yeah, there's a tank here, and these Vultures maybe can set something up, but with the reinforcing Dragoons, are going to be able to deal with that quite efficiently, so he's not really getting the damage that he needs done, and 50 supply behind, 60 supply behind is Mihu currently. And if he intends on taking this mineral only, I'm going to be face palming a little bit because he won't not even have the gas income required to face this.
That drop I really did like, even though it completely failed. I think the idea was there. If those goons weren't as close as they were, it probably gets off pretty good damage. But now, Mihu is just so massively behind, it's kind of hard to state how far behind he is. Double turret, actually, here. Okay, well, this is a win. This is a massive win for Mihu. He kills both shuttles, loses nothing for it, and there's a command center done, so he can get his mineral only.
Okay, this is way better now. Like, for a minute, I was a little bit worried for Mihu, but after that bit of a blunder from Zhanhun, okay, I would say this is way more playable taking this mineral only now.
Definitely way more playable. Mineral only is going to be really hard to bust into. It's not as hard to bust into as the bottom middle pace, in my opinion, but at least this base is farther away from ProToSs.
Needs to move that tank.
Probably needs to move the tank. I want to see him start floating some buildings here to mess up the Dragoon AI. And, you know, unlike the Vermeer game where Zhanhun was scaling his tech and expanding like a madman, you know, 3-base Terran versus a ProToSs that just got their 4th base, even though Terran's down a lot of supply, you know, if there's one big mistake from Zhanhun, like let's say he makes a big attack and it doesn't, you know, take down all these tanks, all of a sudden, Mihu could definitely be back in this game.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, Mihu didn't, like, take his second gas too late either, so he had a little bit banked up. So even though he's taking the mineral only, it's not like he's not got a lot of gas to work with. He's got a bit in the bank to kind of, like, you know, supplement for some time.
Double robo, man. This can be a really hard build to stop, but when you've got a player of Mihu's caliber, or you're facing somebody of Mihu's caliber, you feel like he'll be able to match the multitask. So this is going to be Robo Man with Templars, Storm, and Goons. Now, definitely they can trade really well, but it can also backfire really well. This is almost a maxed out ProToSs launch. Is he really going to go here? I think he could.
Yeah, he could, but it's kind of crazy. I don't know if I like this. Quite a few mines getting some good detonations. Does take out the high temples for any storms activate. Shuttle trying to get down here and do something beautiful. Storm on this cluster of 3 tanks at the north, though. Now it looks like there's enough critical mass of ProToSs flooding in with these zealots from the rally point. And look at these beautiful storms as well. I feel like there's enough here to completely crack him open like an egg.
Oh, he did it, dude. I didn't think it was going to be enough initially, but I saw that stream of red on the right side. And this is going to be Zhanhun probably ending the game right here. Absolutely killer macro. Cuts right through Mihu right here. All the tanks are dead. The command center is going to die. The vultures are most likely going to die.
But he was channeling his inner Bisu earlier. Now he's channeling his inner Best and just cracked open that Terran fortification like it was nothing. Just going full on gorilla ape smash mode.
Oh my gosh. This was perfection from Zhanhun, and he's gonna be so happy to bring this to Game 7. It's gonna be Dark Origin as the final map. And wow, I mean, Zhanhun is crushing it today. You know, I thought he was gonna get reverse swept after the 2-0, but really brought it in Game 6 here.
Yeah, if he goes like this into Game 7, he's gonna have the momentum behind him going into that final game. So this is looking really good for him.
Really does look really good for him, and this has got to be the last attack. There are no Goliaths here, by the way. That is,
yeah.
There's no way to stop the shuttles now.
He does try and target fire the Templars, denies a couple of the storms going down, but it doesn't matter. Enough blankets of Sonic Storm ripping through that terminal. GG finally called from Mihu. We are going to be going to that decider match, the best of 7 all the way to the end.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. You seem to be the good luck charm here because we've got all the series that you've casted, I think, go the distance. Mihu versus DeWalt yesterday. Mihu... no, actually, I guess Zhanhun and Bonneth were 3-1, but either way, the series were really long yesterday, and we're getting into full 7-game series this time. It all comes down to Dark Origin, and like you said, momentum now has shifted for Zhanhun, getting a solid win on Game 6.
Yeah, this is exactly like, in a way, it's like not too bad that he lost those 3 games in a row, because now he's at least got the momentum shift back in his favor. So he can kind of just put that behind him and now go into this with a confident mindset and just try and just obliterate him right here, right now, and he'll go through to the grand finals and be the one facing off against DeWalt.
Man, this is so exciting. It's exciting in the sense that Zhanhun could potentially make his first finals here, but also exciting in the sense that, you know, I was reading a Reddit thread and like the comment was like, I'm tired of seeing Mihu just beat everybody, right? And you're gonna potentially eliminate him here.
It's amazing whatever happens, because even if Mihu does go through, we saw like, you know, him lose to Dawid, and he's facing off against him in the grand finals either way. Either way, it's going to be a great, exciting grand finals. We're spoiled for choice, Nyoken.
Yeah, and we had Dawid versus Zhanhun earlier in the tournament, which was a 3-1. But you know, Zhanhun had opportunities in his games to win. Like, it could have definitely been him taking the series. So, like you said, either way, whoever wins here, the grand finals is going to be absolutely epic. We of course know that it is going to be China versus Russia in the end. But man, I can't believe that Zhanhun is bringing it to Mihu, because remember, before the season started, Mihu 90% win rate versus Protoss. Look at it on the right side. We were talking about him being the Chinese Flash. Those numbers are even higher than Flash, which is incredible.
Scary to think about, honestly. Like, this guy is an absolute machine in like every consideration, whereas Zhanhun over here channeling his inner Gosu and still coming out on top even after being down a 3-game like streak like that. Like, this is some impressive stuff. I'm happy to be watching this.
Yep, and here we go, guys. This is for all the marbles. Game 7, Dark Origin, Mihu versus Zhanhun. Winner will be facing off versus Dawid in the grand finals of Season 18. Okay, in the top left, we do have Zhanhun. And of course, in the bottom right, we do have Mr. Mihu. I'm trying to think what I would like to see.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing.
I don't think U12 Nexus here.
No,
I don't. Okay,
not.
okay. This, I've talked about this. Oh, actually, it's not on the low ground, but I really do like forward gate on this map. You can do a lot of damage. It forces a lot of Marines out. If the Terran underappreciates the amount of Zealots you built, the game can just end.
I agree.
But the fact that this pylon is where it is, you
it's
can't build a gateway to the rights.
You need to build the if you're gonna do that play, you build it on the low ground and the natural, right? Like, we put the gateway in the natural and we put on a little bit of faster pressure. I think that's the way we should play here.
I'm getting like lobotomy feels here. This does look like this could be a lobotomy type of move where he's scouting to see what it is. Yeah, and he might 12 Nexus here. Mihu, though, the probe is here much faster, which means he's getting into position, and he gets that gas steal off.
Okay. So yeah, it's going to be a gas steal into 12 Nexus by the looks of things, and we haven't seen that exact combination of game yet, it has to be said. We saw a 12 Nexus without a gas steal, but not a gas steal into 12 Nexus, so we'll have to see how this one transpires.
I don't know what to think about this. Mihu's really good in situations like this that involve, you know, early game Marines, and if this is 12 Nexus, I think you got a forge here. I don't think you can go gateway.
No, it's forged 2 cannons. You have to.
The pylon is really weirdly positioned, also. So we'll see what Mihu wants to do here. Will he just accept that he's going to be facing the 12 Nexus? I mean,
do you know, I would have loved to have seen from Mihu. I would have loved to have seen like a second barrack started from Mihu, but we're not going to see that, unfortunately.
Well, that's what a lot of people do. Oh, he just builds a command center. Okay. And actually, Zhanhun did not build a forge. That is, in my opinion, pretty risky here, because I think even rallied Marines across the map.
Yeah.
Like, the gateway just started. There could be 2 Marines out at your base by the time the Zealot starts, potentially. But he's feeling like he can hold it either way.
He saw the timing of the CC, and he's going to do like the super greedy 12 Nexus, you know what I mean? Like, this is about as greedy as we're going to get for the Protoss play, and he's going to do the light style of like throw 2 SCVs onto that gas and like kill it slowly but surely, but I don't know.
UA28 is sub a Gosu for 10 months.
Mihu has
Go BSL.
pulled off of minerals to take down that gas for quite a long time. He did not send a Marine across the map like he did in previous games to try and harass the probe line. So interesting mix-up, and SV gets taken down. See you later. You know, one thing I did want to say is, how many DT games have we seen? Absolutely none. This could be a game where maybe you want to go DT, but at the same time, Mihu is someone that goes vultures so often that
Right.
maybe that would be a mistake, but you know, just in terms of getting some different gameplay, I would like to see the Citadel as the follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand him maybe not wanting to go DTs in the final game here on Dark Origin. I can kind of get that. So I'm not like too faulting him in that regard. Let's just see how this lines up against what Mihu's doing. This is a fast enough command center, and he didn't cut like anything, I guess. For
There's
Zhanhun,
a little
the
bit of
economic
lag.
curve.
Now the Zealot just engaged onto the Marine, and you can see that the Marines are putting a cross in. We are coming back in a key moment where the Zealots have engaged and gotten rid of 2 Marines already, and this is a great engagement. Look at that! He wins a small fight, and he runs past. And by the way, he built a 3rd Nexus here.
He's just going to run right past this bunker, and this is like a beautiful play. He's going to have to pull SCVs to block this.
Yeah, he did. Look at this. He pulled a ton of SCVs for this. It doesn't even matter if you kill SCVs here. You've made him lose so much mining time. He even gets a Marine.
This is nuts. Like he's all this mining time lost, and he's getting more Marines, and he might even like kill this SCV building. That oh no!
Oh my gosh!
It's an ArtOfToSs SCV as well. Look at that.
Oh no! Look at it.
This is a nightmare for Mihu. Can you believe it?
This is literally the worst feeling as Terran. And he may lose it again. It pops out on the rocks.
Again. Okay, he does kill the other Zealot with the... Okay, he's cleaning up the Zealots, though, so small consolation prize here for Mihu. Some stabilizer wheels have been applied to the bike. We are still, like, mounted on the bike right now as Terran. We haven't completely fallen off just yet.
But like, think of it from Zhanhun's point of view here. He got in the main. He saw this guy's factory isn't even done. His Robo's done. He has a 3rd Nexus done. And this guy doesn't even have a single tank or a Vulture. This
I know,
is
it's wild.
Like, this is the biggest lead you can possibly have.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, honestly. Like, on it, we might see Mihu finally eliminated from the BSL, and we're gonna have a Mihu-less grand finals. Can you imagine that, guys?
I can't imagine. At top of his base, it's a starport, dude. It's a starport.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh.
I don't know about this one.
I like starport on Dark Origin. Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not a starport.
Okay.
That is a very... Thankfully, that's an eBay. I thought for sure that was a starport. I'm like, dude, there can't be an eBay. Why would it ever be placed there? But luckily, it's an eBay, so he's not super all in here. But man, is Zhanhun at a massive advantage. His probe count is going to be great. Look at this. He's got 1 tank when the 3rd Nexus is done and fully saturated.
Yeah, it's kind of... I wouldn't want to be Terran in this position. Like, if most Terran players looking at this game state would probably not be too happy taking over the controls at this stage, right?
Yeah, this is crazy. I don't even think Mihu's going to be able to scan this. Like, when he scans the main, he's going to see 4 gates, and this is going to look normal. Why would you ever scan the 3rd base? I think the general consensus here is you scan the main, and then you scan the natural to see if this guy's got Reaver Tech there, or Citadel or something. Scan did go off, but we don't know where it landed.
I think even Flash would have a hard time making this look super playable.
Yeah, I think literally the only person on the planet that can come back from here is either Flash or Light. And the only reason I say Light is because Light is like the god of defense, and I'm sure he could have some crazy defensive moves, especially on Dark Origin. There have been so many games that I see him win where he just camps, gets to 4 bases, and then just has immaculate trades. But other than those two, this is one of the biggest deficits to even attempt to try and recover from.
Yeah, this seems like a kind of scenario that you'd want to practice as like a challenge as Terran. Like, try this impossible challenge to see if you can even manage it, because it doesn't seem surmountable.
Well, Mihu, he's moving. Dude, if he moves out, he's gonna lose everything.
He's gonna lose everything. This is crazy. What are we doing, Mihu? Oh my god, Mihu! He's just lost the game! Mihu!
He's gonna lose all his tanks. The game might just be ending. I guess that was a really clutch repair, but he's gonna lose all of his tanks.
He's lost everything. I think he's lost. Like, even though he's gonna maybe not technically die, I think that's critical damage now. Like, losing all the tanks. I don't think we can recover anymore.
Oh, yeah, for sure, this is critical damage. Look at his gas. He's got a lot of factories. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, that's great for you to have a lot of factories. How many tanks can you build out of those factories? 2?
Oh, yeah. We only have one. We only have one machine shop. We can't even make 2 tanks at a time.
Yeah, he can't build anything. And Zhanhun, he just needs to build stuff, dude. Just build more stuff. Build another Nexus.
Yeah,
make sure that even if you have like some atrocious trade, at least you have big econ to fall back on.
Yeah.
So thankfully, he's building another Nexus at top right. He's up 40 supply. One way Mihu can come back is he has a ton of factories, like an absolute ton of factories. But he needs to lay mines everywhere and pray that Zhanhun just ints off his army and like suicides into a ton of mines. That's the only way Mihu can come back, is there's some type of massive inting of the army.
Yeah, no, it does kind of require a big blunder from the Protoss player to even have a strong chance of coming back. I mean, the dropship play might get something done if there's like no Dragoons to be seen in the defense, but he's got like 2 Dragoons and a cannon at this third, for example. I don't think we're going to see too significant. Even the Dragoons going back into the main here, so yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything out of this dropship play.
A cannon completed in the nick of time. Zhanhun, I think he's probably a Stargate going down at the bottom side of his base. That's generally where people would put it if they were going to be playing this type of style. Drop ship, is it even going to unload now? He realizes that he can't get in the main, so he just unloads, and that was a complete fail. He got maybe 2 probes. Okay, he found the sweet spot right there, but those goons on the high ground, they just killed him anyways.
Honestly, that was probably best case scenario for that drop, which is kind of sad to think about. Oh, he's gonna lose the drop as well. Yeah, there's a bit of a clumsy.
Is going well this game.
A clumsy vector to try and retreat on, I think, with the dropship. And yeah, I mean, he's got a small force here. He's got 4 tanks. He's gonna try and get out once more into that position. But again, I think this is the wrong time to make this play. I feel like he might just get bulldozed here.
Well, what else can he do? He's got to get a third base. Like, you can't be down on 2 base for this long versus Protoss. You've got to pray that something goes your way. You've got to take a risky move right here. But unfortunately for him, you're right. Like, that mine drag. Okay, the stuff is getting clumped up on the bridge a little bit. Maybe he can take this trade.
It's looking too dicey though. The tanks just eviscerate, and oh no, yeah, this is just too much Protoss to handle. I think 2 more tanks though on the bunker might buffer just barely. If the vultures can screen enough and soak up enough of these phase disruption shots, maybe he'll at least survive. He has a 3rd command center on the way, but with 3 Stargates on the way, the only thing going for him is the fact that these probes are kind of glitched out trying to transfer to the 4th, so not quite as powerhouse of a macro behind Zhanhun as there should be with these probes glitching out, I guess. But yeah, with 3 Stargates of carriers behind this as well, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah, what Zhanhun is saying is you better do something, because if you don't, the carriers are going to get you. And I love... It's 4 Stargates. I love how he's putting a clock on Mihu, saying you got to do something, dude, because if you don't, you're super dead. That means that Mihu cannot try and pull out the light style, which is just camp. Light would never be able to recover from, 12 carrier deficit, but Zhanhun may just win with his ground army. However, Zhanhun just used up all of his money, including all of his gas, so I'm sure carriers are on the way right now.
Yeah, honestly, like the carrier threat would be even stronger. It just took him a while to notice that his probes were glitching out. He only just now got those probes mining at the 4th base, and now he's going to have that big flux of resources that he needs to just churn out both infantry and a crazy amount of carriers. Building like 4 carriers at a time, going from 4 to 8 is like the most craziest power spike for a Terran player to deal with.
It is definitely a really strong moment for Protoss. I actually am surprised Mihu even got his 3rd base based on how this game initially started. And he's going to catch some units over here. This is... Well, the thing is even though he pushes the army back, I don't think he can get past that army plus the other army and the rally point, by the way. Like, I think if he comes down the bridge, he's in massive trouble.
Yeah, thank you for the tip. Pretty good support is appreciated. But look at this huge force just waiting in the wings for Zhanhun to slow down. Mihu's got a pretty good setup though, and the bridges, but now sieging up just as the goons come in from the southern flank. Best case scenario for Zhanhun. Shuttle also going to start bombing on top of these tanks. He might have enough infantry here just to clean up the Terran threat even before the carries become relevant, Nyoken.
This game's over, man. This is another reset of the tanks, and it's another 50 supply swing in Zhanhun's favor. Mihu did not do anything there except kill Zealots and some goons, and Zhanhun's fourth base didn't get taken down. Of course, this is the last game for Mihu, so he's going to continue to play it out, but 4 carriers, they are done, and we are, what, maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes away from seeing Mihu eliminated. Look at John, who's taking the whole map. He's like, dude, I'm just going to take every base as a backup, because if you kill one, it just doesn't matter. I'm going to have bottom left and mid left at the same time.
It's just too much for him to kill. Like he hasn't even got the forces to split push and kill knockout bases and play whack-a-mole with this amount of expansions. There's just no hope for him. Like he's got 120 supply to 170. He's got a few vultures raiding out on the map, but there's no way he can shut this down. He might catch that shuttle, not quite. Nothing really going Mihu's way in this final game, and like that one little like combo breaker of a game that we saw on Citadel has been the momentum shift that we needed for Zhanhun to really like switch the whole script on Mihu here, and like finally we're going to be seeing a Mihu-less finals in BSL, it looks like.
Yeah, I can't imagine Mihu recovering from this. Like, think about this. Even if he hits max, right? How do you get across the bridges versus carriers? If you try and avoid them by going to top right, Zhanhun, he's probably just going to avoid you like he did in all the other games. He's just going to snipe command centers, snipe your armory, snipe your factories. Mihu's going to come bottom left and see, this guy's got this nexus also, and this is what I was talking about. You cannot get across the bridges. It's not happening.
Yeah, getting across these bridges is a joke right now. Like it's just not going to occur. And if it does occur, then you're going to be losing pretty much all of your army as a price to do that. He's much more likely going to be successful in pushing up the right-hand side, which is what Zhanhun wants anyway, because then Terran army is completely out of position. So there's just like caught between a rock and a hard place. He's going to go for it anyway. Gets all the tanks wedged on the bottom bridge, tries to engage. Pretty good connections on those goons with those arc-like cannons, but Zealots also finally now starting to get some service area on those tanks, and the carriers going to work. There's not enough of these Goliaths in reserve, their 1-1 upgrades to fight back these carriers, even if he does somehow clean up the infantry force of the pros player.
Again, he loses all his tanks, and this might be all she wrote. Like, yes, Mihu's not technically out of the game because he has a lot of Goliaths, but he has nothing to really do with ground army. Remember, it's not like Zhanhun has 4 gates or 2 gates or something. He's got 10 gates. At any point, he can just switch into ground, and he'll just be laughing if this guy has pure Goliaths.
Well, that's the thing. He's got just barely enough like infantry production to actually keep up with the 8 factories. So yeah, it's kind of scary. He's got 7 carriers to worry about and enough gateway production to deal with his ground army as well. So he's getting like 1-2 punched left, right, and center. I don't think he's going to be able to keep his ears stabilized. The fluid in his ears are going to be spinning so much that eventually he's going to be knocked out. You know,
There we go. Goliaths are on the wrong side of the bridge. See you later. Goliaths at the... Okay, I guess actually Mihu will push it back for now. eBay ends up falling, but these Goliaths at the top side, they're 100% gone. Or actually, they're not, actually.
But Mihu's trying to like bounce up and down on his toes right now, just trying to refine that balance, refine that momentum, stop his ears from spinning, find some kind of balance again to reestablish himself. Has the 4th CC on the way to float up onto this high ground 4th base location, but still it's really tough to like navigate around this like open area here that the carriers can just abuse over and over again and like keep cycling around, forcing your Goliaths to like go through these bridges, go through these tight little choke points, and not really have the surface area necessary to get the shots off onto those carriers.
It is just such a massive army, and Mihu is getting picked apart, bouncing back left and right. These Goliaths are going to get picked off. There are no more tanks here at the 3rd base. Zealot Goon is just going to blow all these Goliaths out of the water. Tanks are scrambling to get into position. Actually, he doesn't fully commit there. Surprisingly, Mihu is still in the game. I can't believe that the game's not over at this point. He has a ton of stuff, like 180 to 135. Like he's fighting it out, but it's just... There's just way too much econ. By the way, I do want to say that Zhanhun hasn't mined his gas at top right, so actually he's about to be depleted in his main natural and 3rd base on the gas.
He's not mining gas at the 9 as well. So yeah, there's not a lot of gas income for him. So he can still put interceptors, still flood zealots, but finally GG called from Mihu, and we're not going to have a Mihu finals. Zhanhun's going to be facing off against Duo here, Nyoken.
Yeah, it's the first time that Mihu's actually going to be eliminated this deep into the tournament. What a series this was. 4-3. Zhanhun starts up 2-0. Mihu comes back with a 3-game streak, and you're thinking like, this is it. This is Mihu going Goku, going Super Saiyan. But no, Zhanhun absolutely crushing it in Game 6 and now Game 7. And that means that we solidify our finals here. It's going to be DeWalt versus Zhanhun, which is a rematch from the winner's bracket earlier, back in round of, I guess technically like round of 6, right? Or something like that, round of 8.
Right, yeah. Zhanhun's been really impressing me, man. He has that kind of like air about him, that aura, that kind of like different kind of class. It's kind of separating himself from the pack of the other Protoss players in the Chinese pool.
Yeah, he played really, really well. And what I like that he did in the series was he avoided the army a lot of the time. Instead of just trying to fight Mihu straight up like a lot of these players do, he just avoided him. He avoided the hardest aspect of Mihu, which is his insane macro. Just avoid it, make him stretch thin, like at certain points, like at the end where the Goliaths were across the bridges, but the rest of the army was not, and just pick him apart like that.
Honestly, the execution from Zhanhun was really stellar. He understood the game state and how to abuse Mihu, rather than a lot of Protoss players don't have the kind of composure. They kind of get a little bit impatient. They just want to leverage their advantage right here, right now, and try and get a premature win. But usually that can be the exact thing that someone like Light will take advantage of, defend, and then go back on the counteroffensive and restabilize.
Yeah, so this was really well done from Zhanhun. He deserved to win. Let's look at his run, man. He played versus Dragon, gets a 3-0 there. He lost versus DeWalt, but then after that, he beats Xiao Shuai, who apparently has the best Zerg versus Protoss
really good
in the Chinese scene. Also, Xiao Shuai went really deep in ACS, so that tells you his level. Then he takes down Bonneth 3-1, and now he beats Mihu, so he's gone through the race gauntlet. He's taken down the best Zerg, the best Protoss, and the best Terran. And now who awaits him is, I guess, the final boss of BSL, DeWalt. But I feel like the players that he's already gone through are comparable in skill to DeWalt. So Zhanhun, this is an insane run from him.
Honestly, yeah, it seems like he's like a Pokemon that's trying to evolve right now. And I want to see what the final evolution stage is for this player, because so far he's already so monstrous and scary.
He's crushing it, man. So there you go. This is the finals. It's going to be next week, guys, on Sunday. So not on Saturday. They're going to have a full week to prepare. PvP. Generally, when we get a PvP in the finals, it's DeWalt versus Bonneth. But this time around, not only is it, I think, Zhanhun's first appearance in the finals, we're going to have finally somebody else other than Bonneth facing off versus DeWalt here. So that's exciting.
Absolutely, I'm all about it as well. I love this sort of unexpected upsets kind of. I really thought Mihu was going to at least get 4-2, 4-3 here. I'm kind of impressed by Zhanhun, and I'm all about getting a finals, which we didn't even expect. We expected at least Mihu to be in this finals, and I'm not sure who's going to win out of these two players. I'm starting to feel like maybe Zhanhun might be slightly favored to win this, especially with this huge momentum behind him.
It could be, man. I'm a big DeWalt fan, so I'm going to be biased here, but I will admit, a lot of the games that DeWalt won versus Zhanhun, he had massive build order advantage, right?
Yeah.
He flipped a coin, and he got lucky. If he doesn't get lucky like that, Zhanhun, remember the game on Vermeer? He was down versus a 12 Nexus, yet 5 minutes later, you look at supplies, and it's even. It's dude, how do you recover being down versus a 12 Nexus? So maybe Zhanhun actually is the favorite here, but...
assuming luck is not necessarily against him, I would say so.
It definitely could be the case, but that is it today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, we've got to thank all of our supporters of the BSL. I do want to shout out our observer, ArtOfToSs. He did a good job down there. Also, in China, it's 3 or 4 in the morning over there, so he woke up early for that, and he's not even playing. So big shout out to him.
Appreciate it for you, yeah.
Yeah, so of course our main sponsor of BSL is Esports Fund, but there's a ton of other direct donators like CRVT, Bobo, and Patreon supporters out there. At the $100 level, we have My Fleeting Dream, $50 Striker and Misters. $30 level, we've got Tim Cuz, Tupacalypse, Voltina Bulai, and I did just see a massive tip, but the name got blurry. Oh, Hazarath, thank you for the big tip, man. And I did see a couple of other big donations during the stream. Thank you so much for your support. At the $20 level, we've got Scheming Gypsy, Yujong, Medino, Steven Robertson, Gordon Bradley, KJ Streaming Channel, Daniel Lopez, LML, and Nicholas Schuler, and all you other BSL supporters. Thank you so much for the continued support. And remember, $10 support or above, you get all the replays from BSL. So definitely consider doing so.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal, guys. You should definitely consider it. And we really do appreciate all your support. And it is needed to keep this stream alive and keep this scene thriving. And it is the new golden age of StarCraft. So let's make the most of it.
Indeed it is. And shout out to Shun here for helping cast. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the finals next week. You got any final words?
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully we get a chance to do this again soon. Thanks, guys.
Yep, thanks, guys, and take care. We'll see you next week.
The name of the dance